and welcome to the first show ever from the new Adam vs. the Man 4.0 studios. We are live tonight at adamvstheman.com/live. We get round of applause from our studio audience here in Los Angeles. You want to, John? Wait, John. John, why don't you pan around with the live camera? Hold on a second. Did we get waivers for all of these people? All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everybody who made it possible for us to get to this point. As you know, it's really exciting. And I don't know, maybe before we go to Skype, if you want to. All right, now we got to close the door. Sweet, it's working. I can hear myself coming from the other room. Right. This is our shakedown show before we go live formally Monday through Friday from noon to 2 p.m. starting next Thursday. So really excited about that. We're going to be doing live calls like we're doing tonight for most of the second half of every show. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys are ready for this. If you want to get in the queue for Skype, Skype me at Adam Kokesh, ADAMKOKESH, no space. And don't just send me a contact request. Send me why you want to be on the show or what you want to talk about, and we'll get you on the queue. We've got Tatiana Moroz actually getting dressed and made up right now, getting ready to join us. And yeah, she was caught a little bit by surprise by this one. All right, we've got some random dogs wandering through the studio, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. So I just before we start getting into the calls, I should say we got Luke Radowski queued up at some point, who's gonna be joining us from his parents' basement. We've got Tatiana Moroz, who's getting dressed as we speak. Yeah, I know. I mean, you can scare the clothes onto a woman too. We've got who else? Gary Franchi and Tony Styles are going to be joining us. And if you have anybody else you want to hear on the air tonight, feel free to send us an email. Are we going to be, Sierra, do you mind keeping up a little bit, checking in every few minutes on the email account tonight, Adam at adamvstheman.com. All right, cool. So we got that covered. And we'll go right now to Skype. And John, if you want to take us over to shot number 2 here in the new studio, we're going to zoom out and pan right and bring you in on our monitor here. So we've got Skype on screen now. We want to go to our, who was it that came in earlier with this great high school message? Was it Colin? I think it was Colin. Yeah. All right, Colin, we're going to get you on a video call right now. He says there's some serious hypocrisy with Ann Kirkpatrick. Scooter. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, I got to get in my position for the 2-shot. All right, this is where everybody in the live studio audience gets to clear out because you can't hear the Skype guests anyway, except from the through the live broadcast. So sorry, unless you just want to watch me talk.
Hey, Adam.
All right, Colin. Oh wait, now I have to make sure that I can hear them too. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I've got my.
You hear me?
Colin, are you there? All right.
Yeah.
Is your video on?
No, I can turn it on. Sorry about that.
Do it. This is a live video show.
Yeah.
Go see your beautiful face up here. We can even put you full screen.
Man, I'm just hella tired. I just did not know that I was going to be on. I saw your tweet. I'm a real big supporter. I love everything you do, pretty much. And yeah.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Well, tell us about why you're calling in tonight.
Well, I mean, really, the base of why I'm calling in is pretty boring. It's basically to agree with you that government really does intrude on our lives way too much. There are these government programs. I mean, here in Arizona, this Ann Kirkpatrick, another thing, she ran on the idea after, who was it? The Congresswoman, Gabrielle Giffords, got shot by that crazy man. So she ran on getting people, health care. Anyways, I suffer from PTSD. When I applied here, I have the state health care. But anyways, in order for me to get to see a doctor, I had to wait 3 months. And she had been elected, a year before this had happened. And this massacre had happened. And I just feel this is disgusting. I mean, just real hypocrisy.
Well, what's the source of your PTSD, if I may ask?
It's a lot of really complex things that I don't want to really get into on air. If, I mean, yeah.
What are you doing in Arizona right now about this?
In Arizona, really, I've just moved here half a year ago from California. I'm trying to move back to the San Francisco area. I was active in Occupy the Federal Reserve and going to Occupy Wall Street and, sort of saying, what's up with this, getting engaged and engaging other people there. I thought that was a really important thing to do.
Did you ever go to Occupy San Francisco, like the main scene there?
Yeah, I did that actually. I talked to a group that they called themselves the Black Panthers. They're like this Black Panther, they weren't the Black Panthers, but they were trying to be like the Black Panthers in honor of the Black Panthers. And I was talking to them. We got into some really, weird discussion where it was like, here I am a libertarian, and here this guy is probably a communist, but we're agreeing on a lot of things. And I mean, it just wasn't typical for Occupy Wall Street protesters. I mean, I did the same thing you did in the video, the people's microphone, how everyone repeats things. It's that is not, if it's communist bullcrap, if it's what everyone agrees to repeat beforehand. But I mean, if you want to use the people's microphone, it's not yours.
Where do you think the Occupy movement has gone? Where, I mean this, like, where is that? I hope they're all at home reading economics textbooks at this point, really. But I'm not that encouraged.
Really we know that there's homeless people who are kind of, offered food, stuff that they normally wouldn't get in order to be there. And they have an encampment. I think it's really just homeless people, and we're gonna get all sorts of views. And really, it's just whatever the media wants to cover is what's going to be what defines Occupy, and I think that's the big problem with a lot of things.
Yeah, but where did everybody go? Like, I mean, I was the biggest troll of the Occupy movement, and there's plenty of legitimate criticism, but there was a genuine grassroots movement there. That's why it was fun. That's why you couldn't go and engage with people. They were asking questions. They were talking. They were really getting into these issues. And you can go and have Socratic dialogues, and you could talk to them about economics. And they were listening, and that was really exciting. And now that's like, you thought, or at least I being an optimist, I want to think that there was this, legitimate grassroots groundswell that was going to come on the scene and be like the Tea Party lasted a lot longer than Occupy, and has been a much more sustained force. And it seems like, and I know there are probably people listening who are doing stuff under the banner of Occupy right now who are going to get pissed off, but like, who cares? Where have those people gone? What are they doing now? Like, it's not like any of these problems that they were talking about have been solved.
Right.
They ran to Arizona with you, right?
No, I actually, financial problems. You can thank family for that one. I think you can probably agree with me on that one. Family's a real big supporter of your ideology. They really embrace you. They indoctrinate you to their beliefs.
Wait, would you describe yourself now? I mean, you said you were calling in to agree on everything. Would you take so?
No, that's not who I am.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. No, but hold on. Okay, you started with that.
I was really psyched to be the first caller on Adam. This is the Man 4.0. I've been following you for a while.
Right on. Well, I appreciate that, but let me put you on the spot then. Have you converted your entire family? Have you at least raised all the issues that you find important with them?
No, but I mean, I hear my mother, she's been eating ice cream. I can hear her eating ice cream. She's listening in. She knows the situation you've been in. I'm always telling her things whether she wants to hear them or not. And I think that's also really important because I think she's also learning that it's kind of true. She's seeing these things. I'll tell her things, like the NSA. I mean, I told my friends, maybe a year before the Snowden thing, I think people are listening in on our phones and everyone, I mean, it's not that far out of the thing, but some people were like, that's crazy. But then it just sort of, it comes out. And I think more people are then able to listen to you, and then you're able to get a little bit further, and it's a gradual sort of thing. I don't think my mom's a libertarian. I think that, but that's, I try to plant a seed with every little thing, and I think a lot of times if I'm right about something, that'll really, spark something in
Okay. So you're on it. You're talking. No, that's really good. Let me just say one more thing, because this might be kind of a lot of libertarians deal with this. There's a conflict naturally between people who really embrace the philosophy and people that don't, or who don't in their personal lives. And obviously, more people than not are already anarchists in the sense that they don't go around pointing guns at each other all day long to solve disputes. Most people did not aggress against someone today. Most people went out and cooperatively engaged with people around them, right?
Well, I think the problem is today, if I go and tell someone, an anarchist, they'll think of exactly what you're saying, of someone who will point guns at you. They don't understand.
Well, no, that's the semantic argument, and that's why I generally avoid the term. But here, for a very specific purpose, if you are reaching out to them and you are talking to your family members and you say, look, when you advocate for these government policies, think about how they are applied against me. And are you really willing?
Even how it's applied against you? I think that's a better way to approach people. How it gets directly into your life.
Yes, and you got to personalize it, and there's no one that it is easier to do that with than your family. So, like, marijuana legalization is just a really obvious topic. So we'll just start with this and throw that out. But if you're a pot smoker, whether it's for your PTSD or like I used it to deal with it for myself, or it's just recreational. You're saying, no, I smoke pot because I enjoy it. Hey, how about that, right? And it doesn't matter, whether you like it or not. That's my right as an individual to decide what I put in my own body. When you say that marijuana should be illegal, you're saying that I don't have the right to make that choice. You're saying that if I exercise my inherent right to make that choice, you support people going and pointing guns at me and locking me in a cage. And when you can make that, go ahead.
Exactly, and that's why I say that I agree with you, is because I think that would go as far as to even say with crack cocaine.
Well, no, it's not just other drugs. Hold on, this is my point. It gets much bigger than that.
As it is to point a gun to someone's head for having it or possessing it.
Well, you can go right to the existence of government itself. You go all the way right to the core of the issue and say, well, you want government to be able to do X, Y, and Z, whether it's welfare or national security or borders or roads or anything else. And you say, okay, well, look, you want government to do that, or you want that to happen. You want that legitimate service for yourself as a statist. Great, that's fine. Are you really willing to point a gun at me to steal a part of my income, to threaten me with being locked in a cage in order to pay for the programs that you want? Or would you rather listen to me, and maybe we can stop and have a conversation about this, and maybe we can think about what are the non-violent, non-coercive, non-government solutions to these problems, or to get you what you really want. And of course, you got to listen, and your family, their orientation. They're the easiest people to work on. You got to talk to your family, man. And I know you're doing it, so keep it up.
Right. I just want to say though, I feel like what we do is we have police officers as a way of sort of distancing people. They don't directly see what they're doing.
You don't have to acknowledge the violence yourself.
Funding this evil. They see it as more indirectly, so that they don't have to take the blame.
All right, Colin, thanks so much for calling in tonight. Congratulations. You get to be the first live caller on Adam versus the Man 4.0. All right, let's go back to our chats and Skype here. Oh, wow, we got them really stacked up here, but we have Pete Santilli. Is he? That's Cinto Marinello. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Santilli calling in, our very second caller on the Adam versus the Man 4.0 Colin show.
Second caller.
How's the stream doing in the other room, guys? Everybody digging this? All right, cool. Hey, what's happening, Pete?
Hey, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, welcome back to the freeish world. You got video for us tonight?
I don't. As a matter of fact, I didn't. I'm on a different computer. I don't have my camera hooked up. I just found out that you're on. I want to congratulate you and welcome you back, dude. It's great to have you back, man. Seriously, I mean that sincerely.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And there were a few people who really, stood by me over this whole past year the way that you did, and really. It was very much appreciated, and I noticed that, and I know that our messages are very much aligned, and we're definitely on the same team here. But you're having your audience engaged in writing me letters and everything else, and bringing the pressure on the courts in D.C. That and to everybody else who did that, who's not already a fan of Pete Santilli, and if you're not, you should be. There were that pressure on the court, I think, played a major role in the judge's decision to let me go when she did.
Oh man, it's the least that we could do. I think it's kind of sad how some of these, I would say, so-called conservative, talk show hosts and mediums, when the going gets tough, do they really just pile on and jump in to help our fellow libertarians? It doesn't help. It doesn't happen as much. Sometimes they don't want to get into the fray, but you know what? I saw you as a person that was literally out there fighting the fight for me, because I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in liberty, and you were out there fighting like crazy. And I'm like, man, this is what I believe in. I want to get behind this guy, and I want all of our listeners to do the same. And we got to hang together, man. We really, really do.
For sure.
Somebody's in trouble, quote unquote, that's where we have to rally. I mean, it's easy to get on Twitter and talk about freedom, love, and liberty. But when the going gets tough, we're in a revolution, man. It's going to get even tougher. What are we going to do when things get really bad, right?
Well, I think part of, I'm aware that you got into it with Bobby Powell a little bit while I was locked up. You had him call into your show, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I not only got into it with him, but I kind of snapped him out of the internetosphere and told him to step out of the freaking rumor mongering and pay attention to what's going on. He actually turned around. He gave you some pretty big kudos by the time I got done with him. Yeah, I did get into it with him. He's a pretty good guy, though. I think he's got some respect for you.
Well, yeah, maybe of late, but certainly not at first. And I've seen some of his attack videos, although I'm proud to say I haven't watched them all the way through. But I've seen that they're out there, him cooking pancakes. Maybe he'll call in tonight. Maybe he'll get in on Skype here. But what do you think is really at the core of that? Because if I may, you saw some conservatives who had the predictable response to the idea of an armed march, where they're afraid of any kind of activism, any kind of challenging authority, and you think, okay, that's predictable. But then you hear the Tea Party types who are supposed to be like, oh yeah, rebellion and civil disobedience and throwing tea into the harbor and all of that, and they were the first ones to attack this. I think Bobby Powell would identify with them, but in Bobby's case, like.
You there? Did we drop you? Adam. Just lost your signal. You there?
Oh, well, something's going on with the camera.
Oh,
is everything okay there?
Up there real
Sorry,
quick.
hold on. Our first technical overlook here. Are we good, Caesar? Yeah, you're still good. Okay. Sorry, Pete, go ahead.
No, I think, well, first of all, I've seen it in action. I've seen the machine in action. Those provocateurs that are out there, and you can't say that they're not out there. This is factually true. It's not a conspiracy theory. GCHQ and the NSA reports they're well documented that they do this. So they'll jump in there and they'll come after guys like me that want to call for activism, call for a revolution per se, not a violent one. So they know how to get in there and mix things up. And next thing you know, you've got this crowd of people that are saying, oh my goodness, Pete Santilli is this, and he's trying to lead everybody to slaughter. He's aligning with Adam Kokesh. Adam Kokesh wants to lead everyone to slaughter. And I think everybody gets caught up in that whirlwind. The bottom line is, You and I know, as former United States Marines, we're prepared to lay our lives on the line, of course, for this effort to restore our Constitution. But we want a peaceful transition from where we're at right now to where we need to go, with us in power at the other side of the collapse.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you saying that Bobby Powell was a provocateur himself, or just got swept up in it and was an opportunist who made some videos because he saw a chance to get some views off my action?
No, you know what I think, and I've gotten to know Bobby. I think he's got the right intentions. I don't think that that he wants an armed, march on Washington D.C. That quote unquote leading us to slaughter. That's what he kept reading out there on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't. I didn't think that he understood what was happening here. So after he took a look at you and he dug into you, I think he really had a lot more respect for you, especially when I told him to snap out of the freaking rumors that are out there on the internet.
Well, if he understood more, he'd be a little more libertarian, wouldn't he? This was the big misconception, and this is what really got me about the reaction to the march. The one thing that I really didn't like about it, and I think conservatives who would have made that argument, Pete, for them, I think that's an excuse. I think there's something else here. And, we're going to have you on the show. And when we go into our regular production, weekday schedule, and maybe we can make this the topic. We can get into it a little more. But there was no suggestion at any point like, yeah, we're going to do an armed march on Washington, and it's going to end with the White House and the Capitol and the Supreme Court burned to the ground. Like there was never an option. It was clearly a political demonstration. Yes, it was civil disobedience. Yes, it was risky. Yes, it was asserting your right to be armed. But it wasn't, and it was a challenge of government authority, but it wasn't a challenge of government power. Like, it really was not in any way like, yeah, we're going to overwhelm anything with guns, right? I mean, did that get missed at some point?
No, I spoke to you personally about that. I wanted to go out there myself, and I was trying to figure out a way to get guns from California to Washington, D.C. But you know what? The bottom line was I wanted to make sure that we were going to be, lawful and constitutional to the extent that we could, but still, be activist as we can to make our point about the Second Amendment. But I never heard you once say that we're going to go shoot anyone. I mean, we wanted to get a bunch of people there. I say we. I wanted to support your effort to get a lot of people there. Unfortunately, we come at it from so many different angles to try to inspire people to get off their butt, even if it's something creative like carrying muskets on our back, just to make the point about the Second Amendment. Adam, I'm going to let you take more calls. I'm really glad to have you back. Bottom line is, I'm going to tell you right now, dude, no matter what, I stand beside you. And I think that everybody else needs to say, you know what, we need to stand together on this side. We're not multimillionaire politicians. We're not working for large corporations. We're literally out here bootstrapping it, trying to save our country in any way that we possibly can, with whatever message that we can, to reach the most number of people in the shortest period of time. We're at a critical period. I appreciate everything you do. I've thanked you for your service to our country, not only when you were in the service, but especially right now. Keep it going, dude. Welcome back.
Likewise, brother. Thanks. Really appreciate it. And we're going to be having you on the show soon in the next week or two.
Awesome. Congrats and good luck with the show.
All right. Thanks, brother. All right. We go back now to the Skype board. Holy crap. Look at this. All right. I think the ones I go for are the ones that are bouncing with bigger numbers. So don't read into that too much, guys. All right, so we've got, I'm talking about chats here on Skype. If you'd like to join us, Skype me, Adam Kokesh. Send me some chats about what you want to talk about, why you'd like to be on the show. Who was the guy there's a 14-year-old? I know we have Demeter in the queue here. Was it, was it Alan McCracken? Hey, Adam, I just want to ask, especially now that you live in LA, how you feel about the calls for the disintegration of California and New York. I understand the abolition of government is ideal, but I see this as a positive step. Oh man, I'm just gonna answer this one because we got to find who is it that I read his chat earlier and now it's not here. About someone who was gonna the 14-year-old. No, we talked to Colin. Well, we'll get the meter on next. But about this, I'm really excited, and I think we've come to a sort of point in the conversation where momentum of the ideas of the government being this shape and the country being like this and all of the states being here, and the sort of just momentum of history of governments being organized a certain way is going away. And it's not just the secessionist movement in California or the disintegration movement in California, but the national secessionist movement, and it's a global movement. And so I think we can say conclusively that there's something bigger going on here, right? That there's a certain global awareness that is getting people to say, you know what, we don't have to be this country like this anymore. I mean, you look at the separatist movement in Catalonia, you know, even in Ukraine, and people will say, well, that's a horrible thing, or, you know, Putin is taken over. And yeah, to a certain extent, that's true. I'm not trying to dispute that. But hey, well, there's some tumultuousness in the Ukraine, and hey, a part of it could go and be part of another country. You know, it's really exciting to see how that's happening. And it's in Colorado, and it's in Oregon and Seattle, and there's just the whole new mentality of being able to ask questions in the age of the internet. I think that's very exciting. All right, so who do we go to next? Is Tatiana ready? I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Kokesh. That's what she says. I'm just reading her chat. It's not my line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Tatiana Moroz is getting dialed up right now. Are you having too much fun there, Caesar? Hey, Tatiana, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, wait, crap, I'm double playing you guys.
Yeah, try not to be streaming the show while you're calling in at the same time. Come on, you're supposed to be a pro here.
Well, you know, I've been traveling since 7 o'clock in the morning, so what do you expect? And
Where
plus,
are you
I
coming
don't even
from?
see any video of you.
Where are you coming from, Tatiana?
I was just out in Denver. I did the Libertarian Party convention.
Very cool. And you're still wearing your beautiful orange shirt.
No, this is my bed shirt. I was like ready. I didn't know that we were going to be doing video, so yeah, I don't know. I just left it on. Plus, it's for Bitcoin, so I feel like that's
Beautiful.
representing Bitcoin, not bombs.
Bitcoin, not bombs. I love it.
Yeah.
Are you going to
So
play
how
a
are
song
you
for
doing?
us
Nice
tonight?
to see you on here, even though I'm not seeing you. Why don't I get the pleasure of putting my eyeballs on you?
You have to watch through the stream for that. You just have to turn the volume off.
Listen, you have a lot of requirements here. I don't know if I'm going to comply.
You know, we don't want you to be distracted by the awesomeness of my beard while you're talking to me on Skype. We want our Skype guests to be able to stay focused on the subject matter and look directly into the camera for the sake of the audience.
I'm directly looking into the camera.
I know you can handle that. Well, it's exciting to be back. We're going to be having you on next week, probably, and on a more regular basis now that we got the live show back.
Right on.
What are you going to play for us?
I don't know. I mean, I could do the Bitcoin song. I wrote a new song. We could try that out.
Are we
I don't know.
premiering it here then?
I don't know. Should we do that? I guess we could do that. Sure. Why
Let's
not?
do it. What's it called?
Oh God. It's called "Safe with You." I'm wondering if I really want to play it. Dean knows this song. Yeah, why not?
Hit it.
Or should we do the Bitcoin song? It's up to you.
You can do both.
A double whammy. All right, fine.
We can
let's start
take
with the Bitcoin song because I have news to tell you.
Caesar, can we take it? We can take it.
What?
We can take it. We can handle 2 songs.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm launching Tatiana Coin. We're announcing it April 7th at I'm having like a huge party at the New York Bitcoin Center. So Dean is actually going to come out here and visit me. And I don't know. So that'll be really fun. So, but yeah, we'll do the Bitcoin song.
Wait. Maybe you should tell us about that before you do the song. Because, you know, I've been looking into this myself, too. It's really exciting. And maybe, you know, people in our audience don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the audience is, like, more clued in than I am, you know, after having been in jail. So you can create your own coin now very easily. That happened while I was locked up. So who are you using? How does this work?
Well, I'm not sure how easy it is. I literally just had this conversation last, like Wednesday, 5 days ago. The guys over at Mastercoin reached out to me because a few different people had wanted me to do it, but Adam Levine from Let's Talk Bitcoin had also spoken to me about it and helped me kind of connect with the right people. And Mastercoin is launching a few different coins, but I'm the very first ever artist coin in the whole world. So that's really cool. And basically, I think, you know, I'm still learning about it, but it's supposed to be sort of like a Kickstarter meets shares in Tatiana in general. So people will invest in my initial projects, and as I create more content, the coin is thought to become more valuable. It'll live on the master coin protocol, so it's called a meta coin. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna document how it goes and maybe do some videos and stuff like that, because it is such a new technology, and our hopes are that will be able to kind of revolutionize the way that artists are able to fund themselves, because I think that Kickstarter has jumped the shark a little bit, and this is going to give people a little bit more value for their dollar, I guess.
Well, I remember, again, this is while I was locked up, someone said, or maybe it was more recently, some big venture capitalist in Silicon Valley was saying that Bitcoin is going to go mainstream, but libertarians will abandon it. And I couldn't tell if he was saying libertarians will abandon Bitcoin because it's mainstream, like we're all such hipsters that we're going to go, oh, Bitcoin, it's so mainstream. Yeah, we're not going to use that currency anymore. We're all on Tatiana coin now.
Well, I think that's what people should do.
Yeah, that's what people should do, right? Well, maybe Tatiana coin will go more mainstream than Bitcoin, and then you'll be really, really rich.
Good. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's the dream, right? That's the new cryptocurrency dream: is start your own coin, sit on a giant pile of them until other people adopt them and they're worth $1,000 each, and then you go, oh hey, I happen to have 1 million of those, and then you trade them all off and you have $1,000 million.
Yes, that's exactly how much money I'm aiming
okay.
for.
Just yeah. No, it's a really cool way of doing that. But do you think that if that happens, like Bitcoin goes mainstream, I think this guy kind of understood it wrong. If Bitcoins go mainstream, it kind of means that libertarianism is going to be that much more mainstream, right?
I mean, yeah, I would think so. I think the reason why I'm really attracted to Bitcoin right now is that I think it allows me to, and us in general, to reach people a little bit differently. Like, we're not coming at them from this straight up political angle. I think everybody's interested in saving money. Everybody's interested in not giving their money to the banks. And
right.
And I think that, you know, start them with Bitcoin, and all of a sudden they start learning about Austrian economics, and they start learning about the Fed, and they start learning about, I mean, God, give them 6 months, they'll probably be all anarchists.
You know, hold on, something really cool just occurred to me there, because I've talked about this before in terms of, for the average person, if you can have a currency that's gaining value versus one that's losing value, and it's as simple as clicking over just like that, yeah, it's a no-brainer. But there's something else about this, and I understand the IRS just ruled that Bitcoin is property and will be taxed as such, which basically means that they can still mess with people for doing stuff in Bitcoin the same way they could hypothetically miss for people doing barter at yard sales or at flea markets, because you're supposed to hypothetically report everything that's bartered or any kind of capital gains, as you know, for tax purposes to the IRS. So I'm not like really encouraged by that. But the thing about Bitcoin in general, as something that you can use anonymously if you're careful about it, or that you can at least keep away from the government more than anything else, gives everybody the opportunity to go, wait a second, I don't have to pay taxes. And then, you know, when you don't have a choice, and it's like, okay, well, I pay taxes or I go to jail. Okay, I'm going to pay my taxes. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Then if that's the case, the human mind then tries to justify that, right? It goes and says, well, I at least my taxes go to pay for good things like roads and healthcare for single moms, and you know, all the you know, fluffy programs that people get, you know, the government gives people so that they can justify it. But when you have the option, you go, wait a second, I don't have to pay taxes. And it's as easy as that. And it's like you click over and you start doing that much more of your business in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies instead of the US dollar. Then people go, well, how do I rationalize not paying my taxes now? And then they're on this whole other kick, and that takes them down, I think, the rabbit hole that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of different ways that it could kind of change people's mindsets. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's pretty, like, it's like the Wild West out there.
All right, let's hear the Bitcoin song, shall we?
Okay, sure. Okay, so I have horrible allergies and I could barely breathe, but we're gonna assume that this is gonna go okay. That's my disclaimer. I didn't want to give any of my money to a nation based on war. I wanted to be free, nothing holding me back from where I want to go. I thought about it, what was the choice that I made? It was to take away the money, don't give up your money, use Bitcoin whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay. I didn't want to waste any of my time working for the government. I wanted to be kind, open up my mind, just like an instrument. I thought about it, what was the choice that I made? It was to take away the money, don't give up your money, use Bitcoin whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay. What a little crypto can do. No longer a slave. I don't have to work until the grave. So many times I thought to myself that we didn't have a chance. Nakamoto came along with more than a song, gave the labor back to me. I thought about it, what was the choice that I made? It was to take away the money, don't give up your money, use Bitcoin whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay.
Thank you so much. Tell me you're working on a video for that.
I'm working on quite a bit of things for that. I'm glad you liked it. I think we're gonna do. Well, I'm going into the studio to do my third album, so that's gonna be really exciting because I'm gonna do it with a full band this time, and that's part of the reason why we're doing the artist coin is in order to raise the money for that. If people want to donate or wherever, they can still do that now, but the objective is to kind of raise the money with the artist coin, and then do some videos. Just ideally, I'd really like to do the whole album in Bitcoin. You know, get everybody along the recording process to accept it. So that's where I'm going with that.
That would be very cool. Are we there yet? Is that?
Yeah.
How many people
money.
is that?
So
I don't know
that
anything
would be
about
part
producing
of
an
the-
album.
Excuse me?
How many people is that? I don't know anything about producing an album.
Well, it's the musicians, the engineer, the studio, the graphic design person, the printer.
It sounds mostly like the kind of people that would be hip to something like Bitcoin to begin with, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what, you know, part of the event that I'm doing on April 7th in New York is going to be to invite a lot of the music industry folks and see if we can kind of get them hip to the Bitcoin square, so to speak. And, you know, I don't know. I'm really kind of nervous to see how it turns out, because if it's a big flop, that's really going to suck. But I'll still be a pioneer, as John Miner told me. So that's kind of cool. And I don't know if it sucks and whatever. I don't think it's going to, though. I think people are going to be excited about it. That's what I've been told. The Mastercoin guys are really awesome. They're giving me a ton of support. They're making me T-shirts. They're giving me money so people can drink for free. So those are all, you know, positive indications that people are gonna dig it. You know.
Awesome. You gonna do one more song for us tonight?
If you want, yeah, sure.
You don't sound allergic at all.
Time?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this is a new song. It's called "Safe with You." Been a year on the road, falling apart at the seams. I just wanna be home. Sleep is messing with dreams. It would be really fine if I had me a friend, someone to belong to, one that's real, not pretend. I will promise you I'll be there for you when snow melts to rain. No, we cannot break. There's a lot to take, but I'm safe with you, with you. Take a moment to rest. Got to get myself right. Put my faith to the test. Believing in something that's right. Lift the song from the heart. Voice the echoes of mine. Give the world what they want. These are troubling times. Oh, I will promise you I'll be... Oh, fuck! I tried to move the thing, sorry. I will promise you I'll be there for you when snow melts to rain. No, we cannot wait. There's a lot to take, but I'm safe with you, with you, with you. And I'll wait for the day that you give me a smile. Though you're so far away, doesn't mean I can't wait a while. There's a set place and time for the lightning to hit. All the stars will align, and I think that this is it. Oh, I will promise you I'll be there for you when the snow melts to rain. No, we cannot wait. There's a lot to take, but I'm safe with you, with you, with you. I will promise you I'll be there for you when snow melts to rain. No, we cannot wait. There's a lot to take, but I'm safe with you, with you, with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oh Fuck by Tatiana Moroz. Thank you so much. Give it up. That was awesome,
Without
Tatiana.
that part, I think it should be touching.
Or was that, it's okay. We can edit that out. We can edit that out. Don't worry. No one will notice.
Oh, God.
This isn't live.
That was the first time I played it on any kind of show, so.
No, that was great. I appreciate it. What's the name of the song?
Safe with you.
And where can people find out more about you, and where can people get Tatiana coin?
TatianaMoroz.com, and in the next couple of days we'll have the website up, TatianaCoin.com, and people can just check in with me anywhere. You know, I'm online, Twitter, Queen Tatiana, blah, blah, blah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Queen Tatiana. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right, let's go back to the Skype chats. What do we have here? We probably should have someone else monitoring this during the show, so it's not just me. We can have people queued up a little faster. Maybe we'll get, when Stan gets here, our intrepid producer. Is he on his way, by the way? No? Not at all? His class went late? Our very first show is without our producer. All right. You can send me just questions, too. We can just take questions. But if someone else wants to log in on Skype, and we'll figure that out for the next show. It'll be that much more smooth. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Ryan is in the house. Welcome back, Adam. This is from Jason Vascholtz. Where do you see the liberty movement heading in our USA? What makes you think it's ours? Do you own this country? That's a loaded question. Where is the movement going in America? I think it's going international. I think it's going global. I think it's starting to reflect a much more universal understanding of the message of liberty. And this is actually, I'm kind of excited to get a question like this, or to be able to take, well, like they teach you when you're doing, media appearances, you never answer the question you were asked. You answer the question you wish you were asked. So I'm going to answer the question, hey, Adam, why is the book that you just wrote going to be totally awesome? And it's because it reflects this this global understanding. And I think unlike any other libertarian manifesto before it, really speaks to the global phenomena of statism, not the American experience. And there have been so many books that have been written in the great American libertarian tradition that either are really reliant on a certain historical or cultural perspective, or whatever the case may be, don't really ring true outside of American borders the same way they do here. So if anything, I think to more directly answer your question, Jason, in the United States, I think it's going to turn more towards secessionism and restructuring government, and what I'm a big fan of localization, taking governments apart from the top down. But internationally, I think even within the United States, I think this growing global awareness of the applicability of the message and the idea that we all globally suffer under statism. I think that's where the movement is going. All right. Liberty Phoenix. Hey, man, do you still self-identify as a Marine? I'm debating with myself as to whether I want to claim the title anymore. All right, this is exciting. This is Liberty Phoenix. How do I see? I'm still getting familiar with Skype on this computer, which is fun. I think one of the largest hurdles to sparking a critical mass in the human population is getting statists to understand that they can have their nannies for themselves if that's what they really want. Just leave us alone. Now that's nope, no answer. Are you there, Liberty Phoenix?
Yep.
Hey, outstanding. You got video for us?
Yeah, give me one moment.
All right. See if you can turn up the volume a little bit, or speak more directly into the mic.
Sure, things is better.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. So you're a former Marine yourself?
Actually, currently still serving.
Currently still serving?
Yep.
Well, then you don't really have a choice, do you?
Well, I mean, whether or not I self-identify, I have that choice.
Hold on, wait. Before we go any further in this conversation, I think I have to ask you, well, do those gloves match your sweatshirt? What's going on here? No.
I just use them wearing them to work.
I can't tell if that's like extra trying to be cool. Is that like, are you going for the Walter White look too at the same time here?
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Wow, that's not the first time I've gotten that.
All right. So when you said still serving, who are you serving?
Obama and my unit leaders.
And who are they serving?
I would assume the politicians that send them around the world, and they're serving the corporations that pay them off.
Okay. So as long as we're clear on that point. So what's your plan for extricating yourself from this situation?
Well, I just kind of decided to stop playing ball. I'm 1099, and I'm just not going to pay my taxes anymore. I just bought a new vehicle. I'm not registering it.
Are you active? Well, that's intense resistance. That's pretty ballsy stuff. And I think a lot of people in our movement are, let me just say one thing about that, because I have a friend in New Mexico that I met on my way out here from the East Coast, Tom Highland, who's done some work on this, who doesn't have a license plate, doesn't have a driver's license, and every time he goes to court or every time something happens, he goes and asserts his right to travel without permission, and that's great. It's incredible activism, but it's really risky. It's really ballsy. I mean, if you want to live like that, it's not just like, I'm not going to have a driver's license. It means that you are like putting your ass out in the breeze every single day, and are you active duty?
I'm reserved.
Okay, well that makes it a little bit easier, but still.
The state's not gonna, be nice to us. The liberty movement is the biggest threat to the state, period. If people are so naive to think that we're gonna be able to go through this and not get incarcerated like you and Derek J. and countless other people who assert their rights every single day, deal with, then they're just fooling themselves. We can't do a nonviolent movement and have it succeed without people going to jail for their nonviolent actions, because that's what shows that the state's only use is force. I mean, their only tool is a hammer.
Hold
And
on a second.
going-
I gotta ask this before we go any further. Now, I gotta ask the kind of standard, Marine questions, right? Like, where are you stationed? What's your MOS? What's your reserve unit? Have you deployed? How long you been in? Give us all that stuff.
224 out of Chicago. I'm a wireman. I have not deployed. I'm actually non-deployable.
Now, for people that don't know,
Because-
hold on. For people that don't know, what is a wireman? 224.
0612. I program
Okay.
telephone switches and run cables and set up phone lines.
Because we
Wiring.
had wire dogs in our artillery unit, and they literally did nothing but run wire from place to place. Like sometimes when we were in the field, it was like you plug one end in, you go, here, hold this, and you go run out with a spool. And like that was like, you're trained for this. There's an MOS for this, and they go like there's where you actually have to go to a military school to learn how to do this. And it's like, yeah, they plug in a wire, they run like a quarter mile to the other howitzer or to the command center, and then they plug it in, and then they go back to sleep. Like that was their entire job.
The school doesn't even include all that. The school's just programming. You learn all the actual wiring. I rarely ever actually use my schooling. Mostly when I'm out in the field, we're just running POTS phones and plain old telephone systems and just copper to copper lines.
Right. Okay, so
Right.
you're non-deployable. Explain that.
I popped on a piss test.
Oh, was that deliberate?
Subconsciously, yeah, I believe so. I just stopped.
See,
Stop
no.
worrying
See,
about it.
no. Hold on a second, Devil. I'm gonna keep you in that title, Devil Dog. Didn't you learn about? By the way, we have another Marine in the room right here. So feel free to shout in, and if I'm missing something here. But there are some valuable, legitimate takeaways from being in the military, and a lot of good skills that you learn. By the way, she has tuna seta malis. Did I say it right? Malai, the motto of the Ludwig von Mises Institute, do not give, or the first half of it, do not give in to evil, but rather move ever more boldly against it, right? With tuna sede malis, I don't know the rest in Latin. Antir audio segura, blah, 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 blah. Right. She has it tattooed on her back, so she's legit. All right. For everybody in the room, raise your hand if you're a cop. All right, thank you very much. Hey, we got one. All right, thank you very much. Keep an eye on her. She's gonna volunteer. Make sure she lifts heavy boxes. All right, so there's a valuable takeaway here, about extricating yourself from the situation. You learn strategy. I mean, I know in the Marines everybody gets a dose of this, at least in boot camp and Marine combat training. You have to have a route of egress, right? You have to be ready for that. And now, it might have been deliberate, but I got to tell you, Devil Dog, your strategy for becoming non-deployable was subconsciously, I'm going to pop on a piss test. I'm sorry. You fail. You really, if you did it deliberately and you thought it through and you were like, oh, all right, yeah, that's the easiest way out for me. I'm just going to pee on a piss test. I mean, I know you can't get away with I'm going to kiss this dude and you got to get me out of here. Like, that doesn't work anymore. But you popped on a piss test.
Well, I mean, I tried a couple other different things. I was way out of regs for weight. Failed a PFT.
That's abuse of government property. But that's also really that's worse than popping on a piss test. I'm gonna get so fat you're not gonna want to send me to combat. No, they will still use you as cannon fodder if they want. And by the way, when I was in Fallujah, there were some fat ass corpsmen, and they not the field corpsmen, and they're all good to go. The guys that are actually get on the field, but like blue side corpsmen, actual Navy guys that were just like. They would get there, they were like barely making weight when they got there, and a year later of sitting on the fob, where they come out of the chow hall and this was not at the fob that I was at, and I was off the fob most of the time, but like at Camp Victory in Kuwait, you walk out of the chow hall and there's a Baskin Robbins and a Pizza Hut and a Burger King, and you're like, what the fuck is this? No way. And so these guys, they would just blow up, and like that. I'm sorry, Devil Dog. I feel like I gotta. If you were here, I would be snap pointing you. Like really, you are a. This is like this is a story of the most ineffective military resistance ever. I got fat, and then I got stoned, and then I got in trouble, and hopefully they won't deploy me or shoot me or get me in any trouble for all of this. Like, am I getting this straight?
Well, I was constantly in my unit, like, showing videos whenever we have downtime, because that's all we have is downtime. So I'm like constantly trying to convert people.
Okay. Okay, so that's probably more effective resistance, and I can appreciate that. But so what's your situation right now? How you did was it a 6-year reserve contract?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how far into that are you?
About I get out in 15. Yeah, about a year left now.
You couldn't
It was
like
about a year
only
ago that it
smoke
happened.
pot for 1 weekend a month until then.
It was about a year ago that it happened. So,
Oh, it was a year
I still
ago.
yeah, they've just been sitting on me.
Now this is really strange. Now this is now see here for everybody who's listening who's in the Marines right now or in the Army and wants like an immediate present test case, what happens when you pop on a piss test if you're a reservist and you just want to be non-deployable? Like, is this typical, or I mean are people? I mean, Cassandra, you were in the Marines on active duty as recently as how long ago? 5 months ago. Okay, so like and you were in an admin role, so you saw stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is this typical? Guys pop on a piss test,
Yeah,
and they just get in a non-deployable status, and they just chill.
Test, and then it takes 12 months to process them out. So
12 months of processing, and they're okay. They've been collected paychecks and they're collecting paychecks that entire time.
Yeah, and some of them
Okay,
stay on legal hold.
so legal hold keeps them in. Got it. So this is not unusual at all. But as soon as you pop on a piss test, you're non-deployable.
Yes, and
So-
they process you out however long that takes. 'Cause
okay.
They make you stay because
Right.
they want to make your life miserable.
And they could make you stay for
legal
right. Actually, I kind of went through that sort of myself, but it was there as an activated reservist. My circumstance was different. So, but
It's
this
exactly
is
what they say in boot camp. The fastest way to get out is just do your time. Well,
yeah,
so
that's a
the
trick.
carry's over.
That's totally a trick. Yeah. The fastest way out of here is to do exactly what we tell you until we let you go. Maybe if you're not stop loss. Yeah. No, it's true. It's one of those things they tell you in boot camp, and thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it was a big deal, right? You got the same thing when you were in boot camp. The easiest way out is graduation.
Yep.
Bum bum bum. All right. So, would you recommend this, Mr. Phoenix?
No.
Why
I would
not?
recommend not joining. I mean, if you're against, the only reason I joined was for a job. I mean, my dad was a Marine, so I figured, hey, maybe I'll be able to, get a decent job afterwards because I'm in the telecom business and I wanted to go wireman. So I figured maybe it'll be applicable because I'll be able to work for some big cable company or something. And
No.
I got out and I am working for the telecom business, but not because of anything that the Marine Corps helped me with.
Let's see. We need someone who has substandard skills in a military application setting who can also fire an M16 to work for Comcast. Yeah.
Well, I just
Sell
feel like
that to 17-year-olds and you might get somewhere. But for somebody that's in, would you recommend this?
Well, I can't say I could recommend it because it's got to be a personal choice. I mean, it's not a game. This isn't like, oh my God, nothing's gonna happen to me. I mean, nothing's happened yet. That's the big word, yet. The hammer's gonna come down.
Right.
I wouldn't suggest it to anybody unless they actually know what the hell they're doing.
Okay, when you say the hammer's going to come down, what are the worst of your fears there?
Prison, not seeing my kids.
They're going to send you to prison for popping on a piss test, like send you to the brig, you think?
Well, they can. I mean, it is a court-martialable offense.
Where do you live?
Illinois.
And your reserve unit's there, right?
Yep.
Do people go to jail in Illinois for marijuana possession? Like, if they really wanted to say, well, you popped, therefore you were in possession in some way?
I'm sure the legal land could make anything up.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen, does it? I mean, simple
the
possession.
I don't think it's that highly likely.
First offense,
but
right?
it's
I mean,
possible.
yeah.
So
So
as far as that, I mean, that's not what I'm worried about going to jail for.
okay, what are you
It's
worried about? Going
Everything
to
else,
jail for?
the vehicle registration, taxes, and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. That's a bigger liability now, but that's almost like in a separate realm. And until you get popped for something on that, but you've already got this issue pending with your reserve unit. So, since you're in non-deployable status, are you still drilling once a month? You still go in?
I'm supposed to be.
Supposed to be, but you just don't show up now.
Yeah, I mean, they can't. They pretty much can't do anything about it. I mean, there was some. We heard some scuttlebutt at the last AT of that. Even in the reserves, if you're UA, there's nothing that they can really do. They can't even give you Firewatch technically.
Yeah, that's AT annual training. Your 2-week playtime during the summer, right?
Summer camp.
Yeah, summer camp.
I'd rather be in Pork Fest though.
Don't you wish everybody in the military had this attitude and this posture? There'd never be any wars. You see how he's sitting? Can you imagine, like, yeah, we're at formation. Should we go to war today? Do we want to plan that invasion? No, let's just sit back and smoke pot and get fat. Yeah. Screw that war thing. Oh man. I'm just gonna sit here and impersonate Walter White and call into Adam versus the Man. So but there is a real threat here, and you do have a legitimate concern that if the Marines really crack down on you and don't just out-process you, you're going to get some kind of court-martial, although that's for popping on a piss test. They don't really go to that kind of trouble anymore, do they? Okay.
Yeah, I thought they would.
Unless they
Cassandra says no. Unless the unit commander who runs the court-martial has it out for you. They don't.
I certainly hope he's not watching this.
They just were like, all right, you're kicked out.
Sorry, say that again, Phoenix?
I said I certainly hope he's not watching.
Let's hope his CO's not watching right now. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, you can tell he's a reservist because he's got just that less than a month's worth of facial hair. But he won't recognize you because you shave clean for every drill, right? He wouldn't even recognize you right now. All right. All right. So the real threat here, though, is that if they do come after you, you get some kind of other than honorable discharge. I mean, there's the very, very small outside chance for something like this that you'd get sent to the brig, but it doesn't happen in today's military because pot's everywhere. I mean, you think you don't have reservists popping in Colorado and in Washington State and even here in California, of course. So there's people got to weigh that, and like you were saying earlier, it's an individual decision. Right. But I would just say one other thing. If there are any guys on active duty who are listening who are considering this right now, I mean, for me, it was like when I got out of the Marines the way that I did and everything I've done since then, I know I'm not going to be able to go back. I'm okay with that. And when I got my less than favorable discharge, I didn't care for the same reason that the same reason I dropped out of grad school. I don't need another piece of paper that tells me I'm legitimate somehow, or I'm not going to worry about the military somehow branding me illegitimate. I don't ever want to work for someone. And this is really the crux of this. If you're in the military right now and you've woken up to the message and you go, well, oh my gosh, now I have to be very careful about how I got out. Do you really ever again in your life want to work for someone who's going to say, oh, well, the military says you're good to go, therefore I'm going to hire you? Do you really want to work for someone who's hiring on those grounds alone? Because there are a lot of people that come out of the military, who join for the wrong reasons, who you don't want to be associated with, who you don't want to work with, who really are, authoritarian personality disorder types. And I met a couple at CPAC. We've got some more fun video coming from that. But you're not and maybe I'm lucky this way because I've able to make a career out of being a loudmouth propagandist. I don't have to work for anybody else but my audience. But going around with an other than honorable discharge or a bad conduct discharge or even a felony on your record like I have now, it doesn't. If you really want to live a state-free lifestyle, it's not much of a hindrance.
Yeah, I mean, agorism doesn't care whether or not you have slaps on your wrist from the man.
Exactly. All right,
and one of my favorite quotes, I think, speaks to that a lot. Being well adjusted to a profoundly sick society is no measure of health.
Indeed, and it's certainly true about military culture as well. Phoenix, any final thoughts?
I wouldn't be me if I wasn't for the Marine Corps, because they did instill that sense of honor, courage, and commitment, but I don't think they were aware of what direction that was going to be pointed in my case.
They've created a monster. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
I really
Adam.
appreciate the call. Liberty Phoenix, remaining anonymous. And, you know, I think that's true for a lot of people about the Marines, is that, you know, there is a greater proportion of veterans within the freedom movement than in the general population. Now, is it as huge a dynamic as there are more men than women? No, not quite. But there is something about the military experience that for a lot of people, when you go into the military experience with an open mind, it propels you out the other direction. And, you know, a lot of people have, you know, praised me for my courage. And I don't believe in that. I'm not that brave. I'm pretty good with calculated risks. That's at least how I would describe it. And being brave is, you know, taking a risk when you don't know the outcome, or when there's a huge amount of uncertainty, or you have to make some unexpected sacrifice. But nothing that I have done, except, you know, maybe going to Iraq, which was more stupid, you know, really qualifies as that. None of my activism even really qualifies as that. And I only say this because there is something, I do have a certain kind of courage. And I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to make a distinction. And this is one of the things that I did get as a legitimate positive feature of the military experience, especially going through the Marines, the tough team, the hardcore, and all that crap. But it's a certain intellectual courage. And it takes a certain intellectual courage to adopt a new worldview. And if anything, I don't have very much of this shit because it took me 10 damn years to get here. Yeah, I have to be really humble. I was a slow learner. I was a libertarian in high school because, oh, well, I'm not going to be a Republican or a Democrat. That's lame. Oh, what are my options? Oh, leave me alone. Yeah, okay, I'll be a libertarian. Like, that was the extent of the depth of the thought that I gave that. So I hear this from conservatives. I hear this from minarchists. You know, I hear this from liberal activists who go, wow, Adam, you're really brave. And they say that because of my activism, or because I volunteered to go to Iraq, which is not brave, really, following orders. But if you were really thinking about what you're saying when you tell me that, I would want you to think, well, the real courage that I value, that I believe in, is intellectual courage. And if you had half of it, you'd at least be considering the libertarian message philosophically in a much deeper way. And I say this to minarchist libertarians as well. If you really have any kind of intellectual courage, you're going to be asking the questions that are going to lead you to the so-called bottom of the rabbit hole of anarcho-capitalism. Because the only real libertarians are the anarcho-capitalists. Either you believe in liberty or you don't. And if you believe in it, you have the intellectual courage and integrity to ask those questions and go all the way to philosophical consistency and not indulge in that cognitive dissonance. It's an intellectual cowardice that plagues humanity, that allows us to sit in the state of cognitive dissonance regarding government, where we know that something is wrong and we don't ask these questions and we don't do anything about it. And minarchism is not the answer, because if you're a minarchist, you're saying, I believe that force and violence and coercion should only be used for these few special things that I haven't figured out how to do without government yet, to which any liberal will say, or conservative or other kind of statist, yeah, me too. Have the intellectual courage to go to the bottom of the rabbit hole, to be philosophically consistent, to ask those deeper questions. And I just wish that everybody who saw that, who said that about me, would realize that there's something much deeper, at least that I value, that I try to share. So, all right, we go back to Skype. Someone has sent me 9 chats. That's Connor Tucker. Sorry, I don't have a mic. Yes, you need a mic. But we have some questions. Let's see. Who was? I still forgot. I read someone's name like right before. Oh, it was Chandler. Here we go. 14-year-old freshman Chandler Stainbrook. Let's get him on. He says, "Hi, I read that you would be having callers on Sunday. I'm a 14-year-old freshman in high school, and I've been talking to my principal about school rules." I believe that's what he's saying there. "The conversation is pretty interesting, so I figure I could help set an example to any younger listeners." Oh, we just lost him? I think you'd be interested in hearing about it. Absolutely. You know, it really is the coolest thing about what Adam versus the Man has become, that we have such an engaged young audience. And when I turned 18, I hope I haven't told the story too many times that it's gotten cheesy here. All right, Chandler, if you're listening, we're trying to call you and you're not. We're not getting you. And Kristin is ready to go listen in. Hey, Kristin, can you send me a chat so that I can you can appear on the top of my list here and I don't have to plug you in? Kristin Meghan, geoengineering activist. But as I was saying, when I turned 18, this is the corny story that, like, I know I've told this. Sierra's sitting here. She's like, yeah, I know what you're gonna say, but this is one of those stories that, like, you tell it twice and you go, oh man, now I feel like an old man. Now I'm just corny as hell. But when I turned 18 and I was a rebellious teenager, I remember thinking, how ridiculous is this that I passed this arbitrary chronological barrier, and on one side I'm not an adult and I don't have rights, and on the other side I'm an adult and I have rights. And thank you, Sierra, for reminding me of the punchline, because I told myself when I turned 18, I'm not going to forget about the people on the other side. And I think it's been kind of incorporated into my message and my activism now, and I think the proof of that is in the incredible activists who are still in high school and in college who are part of the Adam versus the Man audience. And that's why I was excited about talking to Chandler. But I know we got some more here. And since Kristin Meghan isn't... oh, wait. Holy crap. Look at this. Somebody sent me 33 messages, and we've got... All right, there's Kristin on top. But look at this. We got lots of people stacked up. This is exciting. This is more than we ever had for the live show before. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristin Meghan calling in all the way from the frozen wasteland known as Chicago. Hey, what? You got a problem with that? You're in oh wait, this is, ladies and gentlemen, John Caesar. It's frozen, but it's not a wasteland. Well, if it's frozen, it's a wasteland to me. Caesar is here, having just moved out to California. No, I mean, he's visiting for a week, and he hasn't told his parents that he already has a mohawk, and has decided to move into an apartment down the street and get. They don't know. Oh shit! They don't know that he's here right now. But he came from Chicago, where he was working for Gary Franchi and Next News Network, and now he's ready to move to California. So what do you do? You're like defending Chicago, like you're some kind of native.
It's native homeland.
Kristin, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us with late notice tonight. Really appreciate it. What was the last time you saw John Caesar?
Oh God, it's been a while.
Well, do you remember what his hair looked like?
No, I do not. I cannot say.
It was the perfect politician's hair, like the man hair. And his nickname here, by the way, and this is how the babes in the house, and they're like, what? Oh, I can't call you babes on air? Babes. The babes that live with us here in California. The babes. The kitchen babes. Uh-oh. Jeffrey's trying to get me in trouble now. We are grateful for having kitchen babes living with us. But John Caesar now has a mohawk. And their nickname for him, though, and this is how they're going to guarantee that he moves to California, is they started calling him Mr. January.
Well, he has a bit of this like innocent college boy thing going on.
I call him corn-fed.
Yeah, he's like too cute to be called a man, but I don't mean that in a negative way.
If he had heard that. I don't know. No, hold on. No. You can't say it that way.
You know what I mean? Like
Caesar, she just said you're too cute to be a man. Or to be called what? How did you say too cute to be called a man?
Hey, he's just adorable. He's adorable.
I think that was her backhanded way of trying to say boyish charm. Let me fix that for her.
He's the guy that you just want to cuddle. You know what I mean?
Oh, good save. She just said you're the guy that you just want to cuddle with. Do you feel better now, John? All right, he feels all better. Kristin, since I was last on the air, you've really taken on a whole other theme of your activism. You want to tell us about that?
I have. You and I have known each other for a while. I've been an activist for many years, but even while I began my activism, I was still a federal employee. So I was still a little bit kind of tiptoeing around telling a huge story, which my huge story involved when I discovered that geoengineering, also known as chemtrails, was actually a real thing. Something I had made fun of at one point, and discovered that it was completely real. And when I discovered it was real, I was threatened to be thrown into a mental institution. So that sort of launched me into...
Wait, you can't just gloss over that.
Right. I mean, a lot of people know my story, but I mean, it just, there was a point where people knew me as an activist for, different veterans' rights, vaccines, different health and safety issues. And I was a little bit hesitant and kind of fearful of coming forward about what I knew about geoengineering. And there's still some stuff that I've yet to come forward on, and that's only because of the requests of the people that have shared the information. That work or what I do, the ethics of my job completely contradicts that of which on information in the Air Force. So I've kind of been going around on a global scale and just kind of bringing to the forefront that geoengineering is 100% real. It's not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It's 100% true. And if people just kind of put aside their fear and inability to grasp this concept, it's right in front of our faces. So that's kind of been what I've been doing lately, is talking about geoengineering.
So you're like Snowden. You've got a pile of documents. You're just like waiting to release one at a time.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Like, I do. And, the hardest part, and you know what? I have to say, like, I thank you a lot for being able to come forward as much as I have, because I remember one time you and I had a conversation and you told me, if you cannot handle, all of the negativity and harassment that comes with this, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of had to garner that strength, and it took time. But there's definitely evidence and information that I've yet to share, and that's only because while I have my own personal ethics, I cannot throw another person under the bus who has a family and is not ready to put their life on the line. Like, I don't feel like that's my role. So I'm waiting, and the time will come, and all these quote debunker trolling sites, can pretty much just kiss it, because at the end of the day, regardless of what people think, it doesn't change the facts, and it doesn't change the evidence that I have and have made copies of and have shared with family members and friends. So,
well, we're definitely going to be having you on the next couple of weeks, when you release your next important information here. But there are a couple questions that I do want to ask, that I think, even for tonight's informal show, give people a good sense of the importance of this issue. And it's one I'm really behind on. I'm happy to admit that it's a place where my knowledge base is relatively weak. So I'm looking forward to getting into it more. But as someone who's been involved with this for a while, what have you found are the hang-ups? What is the resistance to acknowledging that chemtrails are real?
Honestly, I believe the resistance is that people are waiting for like an aircraft pilot to come forward and say, yes, this is what I'm doing. And the people I've talked to, I've talked to veterans from, the 80s that have come forward acknowledging this program existed. It's not a matter of a pilot coming forward. It's people not realizing that, even though, I give the example of, you can drive your car. If you're a government employee, you're given a government vehicle, you can drive your car, but you might not know what's in the trunk or in the back seat. And I honestly have learned throughout this whole ordeal that a lot of these people had no idea what they were doing. And when you look at Snowden and you look at Manning, I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to understand what is keeping people from coming forward. And I think until the day that a pilot comes forward, people will just won't believe it. And that's completely unfortunate, because you have like Time magazine that just came out explaining about cloud seeding and geoengineering that's occurring in Dubai, producing rainstorms. The information comes out daily, and people are just so hesitant because it's just so hard to grasp. But in my profession, it's not hard to grasp, because this information is like kind of pushed behind the scenes 24/7. So it's nothing new to me, but kind of new to a layperson.
Well, I think there's like a deeper psychological reaction though, right? I mean, like, well, that's not possible. Our government's good, right? I mean, when you're talking to people who have never heard about this or never acknowledged it, when they say when their hurdle is, but you have to trust the government. I mean, the government wouldn't be doing that. What's your response? What works?
Well, I just try to compare the situation to other things that have gone on, whether it's the government adding fluoride to our water, whether it's the government, putting carcinogens in our vaccines, or, selectively enforcing different emissions that are harmful to us in the atmosphere, producing acid rain. I mean, I think once you acknowledge the selective enforcement of our government agencies, whether it's OSHA or the EPA, it all comes to you. But, it's hard for me to accept the fact that people just say, oh, our government would never do that, because you'd be surprised how many people, and I hate saying this, in the quote, liberty movement, I call it the Liberty Ball movement because of all the infighting. But you'd be surprised how many people can believe, question the official story of 9/11, question the Federal Reserve. But when it comes to geoengineering or weather modification, I mean, people just cannot grasp it. And I really don't understand, because honestly, it's the most easy for a government to do. So, I mean, to answer your question, I can't relate to what the hesitance is about as far as, being able to accept this information.
No, it is really strange. And there is something about chemtrails. Like if you told me, like if I came from, an alien planet, and you told me about the Tuskegee experiments where they're giving syphilis to black
Right.
guys, or not giving it to them, but, keeping them sick. Or if you told me about, the tests with nuclear weapons, I'd be like, no way. But then you're like, they're doing, government is geoengineering and trying to control the weather behind people's backs. I'd be like, oh, yeah, well, duh. I mean, if they have the technology, why not? It seems like the most easy to accept of all of these crazy things.
It's so easy. And what kills me is you watch a simple search on YouTube of, the word chemtrails kind of flags a lot of the debunkers. If you use the term solar radiation management or geoengineering, you will find the scientific data. I mean, you will find people like David Keep and Al Gore talking about it, talking about what they want to do, or you will find different bills in the House of what they want to do. I mean, how long do you have to talk about something before you realize it's already occurring,
Okay, so this was my actual second question here. What is the motivation? What do you think is the big conspiracy behind chemtrails?
Well, there is my personal opinion and that in which I can prove. My personal opinion is multifaceted. I fully believe that they sure as hell know that the materials that are used in geoengineering are harmful to human health, which creates a systemic effect along with different things in our food and our vaccines and medicine. But from a corporate standpoint, I believe that there's so much power in controlling the climate, because people say, you have weapons, you have money, but food and water controls everything. And you can control droughts, and you can create droughts by controlling the weather. And, whether the food is prosperous. I mean, honestly, I think it's more of a money thing.
Well, it's always a money thing to one extent or another. But like with, for example, the war on drugs, you can see the lobbies, right? Right. It's the pharmaceuticals and the prisons and alcohol and tobacco. Like, who is it with chemtrails?
Honestly, I believe it is NATO, because, I did live in England for 2 years, and that's where I first had heard about, quote, chemtrails, and I thought it was kind of a crazy idea, but the spraying over there was just insane. But at the time, I was just ignorant to it and just didn't understand it. And, I have physicians and neurologists and geologists and, reach out to me from different countries, and they're all saying that, this is going on. Like, it's way worse than here in the U.S. So I fully believe it's those that are involved in NATO. And I feel like it's more of the mission to collapse the people, whether it's through money or, again, to control the type of food that we can grow. Definitely NATO. That's what I do know.
All right. Well, we're going to have you back on the show in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, and welcome back.
And Kristen, I should say, I should have thanked her directly, was also someone who really was very supportive while I was in jail. All right. Let's see. We're just going to go to the top of the list. Dominic Daniel Hunt. Hi, Adam. I'm a student at the University of Leeds in the UK. Oh, this sounds like fun. All right. Let's see if we can get him on with video. With the majority of the UK suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, especially the leftist students, how can I best approach them and send the message far and wide? Dominic, thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, Adam? How you doing?
Oh, I'm just so happy to be back. This is really exciting. We're like an hour and a half into our first live show. Hasn't collapsed yet. The building hasn't caught on fire. We haven't been raided. I mean, things are going pretty well.
Sounds good. It sounds good. It's good to have you back anyway.
Appreciate that. Well, I love especially our international fans, and of course, I have a soft spot in my heart for those of you that speak English and make it easy for me. So I'm really glad, in the UK you figured out American. You can speak American well enough that we can understand you. All right. So to your question, what are you smoking there? Something appropriate?
No. I really wish, but no, I'm just on rolling tobacco
I was
at the moment.
going to say, that's very European of you. I was afraid of that. All right. So should we just go right into your question when you're talking about people that are in Stockholm Syndrome? Why don't you describe specifically how you think Stockholm Syndrome is relevant for the people around you that in your school?
Well, the disdain that people have for anyone who even tries to just bring forward even a little bit of liberty. For instance, Margaret Thatcher. I mean, obviously statist, but she did plenty of things like denationalize plenty of different services, and she helped bring the UK out of British socialism and to a more liberty-friendly society, but she's treated with such disgust, and she didn't even do a whole lot. I mean, you even try and talk about liberty, and you're called a racist. That's it. You're a racist, sexist pig.
Okay, no, well, that's a good historical perspective for your situation distinctly, but most people don't know what political Stockholm Syndrome is. And for those that don't know the term, it's being in love with your captors. And this comes from a particular incident in Stockholm where there was some kind of was it like a bank robbery or some kind of hostage crisis that went on for long enough, where they first discovered this psychological phenomenon where the captors started developing empathy and were relating to their captors and felt dependent on them or felt like they needed on them. And we use this, and I try not to use this term, honestly, because every time you're talking to people that don't know what it is, you have to explain it. But that there is a certain, it speaks to a very distinct psychological phenomenon of knowing that someone is your captor or oppressor or holding you down or forcing their will on you in some way, and yet you come to need them and be loyal to them, and you want to empathize with them. So describe that. What is that mentality? What is that relationship with your fellow students? In current terms, relationship to government?
Well, like you were saying, they know that the captors are being oppressive, but yet they still try and do mental gymnastics, and they try to blame others. They try to blame the corporations. I mean, obviously the corporations are involved, like big corporate structures, but they don't realize that the reason why they have derived so much power is due to the government itself. And to be honest with you, I've not a clue. I mean, I've tried to see into the mentality. I mean, I used to consider myself socialist. Oh, it's disgusting even thinking about it now. You know what I mean? I mean, this was 3 years back, and now I've gone right down to the bottom of the rabbit hole. I would now consider myself an anarchist. I mean, currently at the moment, I'm reading Anatomy of the State again by Rothbard.
Feels like a former life back when you were a socialist.
No, it's embarrassing to even think about it. It really is. I mean, but
Yeah, well, I used to be a
don't-
Republican, so there.
Well, that's just as bad. Well, I mean, yeah, just as bad, isn't it?
Okay, well, let me throw out a quick line of reasoning or an angle or an approach here that maybe you can first apply by thinking back to, like, how would this be used for yourself, right? Like when you were a socialist. And when you understand freedom as nonviolence, when you understand the core philosophy and you have faith in that, and you understand, and you know, I say faith and it feels like that sometimes, but it's not. It's like rational scientific understanding. It's real. It's like the law of gravity. There's a law of human cooperation. There's this law of, you know, there are laws of economics. There are laws where you say, you know, you can understand anytime you have a relationship determined by force or coercion, it takes humanity back from its potential as a, you know, of a cooperative society in which all interactions are seen as in the best interest of those choosing voluntarily to participate in them. So it's not a matter of faith. But when you understand that, it's easy to apply it universally. But for someone who is, you know, in that socialist mentality, you know, it sounds like you go back and you mentioned when you were a socialist, you're afraid to remember it. You don't want to talk about it. It's like this uncomfortable thing to think about. But there was a specific line of reasoning that kept you a socialist, that kept you from either discovering that or applying that or whatever the case may be if you had understood it before that. The angle I'm suggesting here is, I know this is going to sound crazy. It's called listening. You ask questions. And this is what's so fun about doing man on the street videos for me, is it's a form of Socratic dialogue, and you ask people what their hang-ups are. And I compare this even more precisely to what it's like when you're recruiting someone to join the military. And I worked as a recruiter for a while, and they had the benefit tags like, oh, you're joining the military. Well, you know, there's lots of things they sell you on, right? You know, honor, courage, commitment, integrity. You're going to learn job skills. You're going to get physical fitness, pride and belonging, all of that. And they lay these out on the table, and you're supposed to pick 3, and then they give you the targeted pitch for that. If you go into this, if you go into talking to individual students, you're like, oh, well, oh, you say that you're a socialist? Well, let me give you my, you know, my entire spiel on libertarianism for socialists, and let me cram this down your throat, and here are all these ideas. You know, you're going to be, you might even be, it's like if someone's joining the military to get their teeth fixed, and you're telling them about how much fun they're going to have blowing shit up and killing people, and that turns them off and sends them away. You have to listen to how people are thinking. You have to find out how they're thinking first. Everybody who's a socialist has some different definition of what that means.
Yeah.
You know,
well, when I considered myself socialist, well, the reason, well, where it all started was due to Zeitgeist. I mean, I started watching Zeitgeist, and I thought, yeah, well, something. I mean, I always felt it. I always felt there was something fundamentally wrong with this system, and I did. And I started watching that, and questions were asked, and well, questions were answered, but like you were saying about the Socratic method, I never actually analysed what they were telling me, and I never thought, is there any different way? I mean, I think the reason why most people are socialists is because they don't ask questions. I mean, they're just told. I mean, if you think about it, when the easiest answer is to say, oh yeah, the government can solve everything, but you don't think about it. You don't think about what the moral implications of getting the government involved are, and are there any other different ways? And the ideas of liberty is so demonized that anybody who even considers taking a more, well, the left-right paradigm is bullshit, but I'm just going to say, if anybody tries to take a more right-side approach, then they're going to get struck down, and they're not going to ask questions from there, are they? Because they're too afraid of being labelled racist, sexist. You hate the poor. You don't like roads. You know what I mean? And that's where it was. But I mean, it got to a point where I thought, no, I can't do this. I want to ask questions. I started reading up, and then I went from socialist to conservative, which is just as bad. But I mean, it's just as bad. But they have the rhetoric there. They have the rhetoric of freedom. They have the rhetoric of liberty. And then I started questioning myself there, and then I moved further and further down the rabbit hole. I started reading Hayek, and then I started reading Mises, and then eventually I found Rothbard, and then I found you, which is great. So thank you, Adam. And that's it. That's where I am now. And then hopefully, well, I've set up a Students for Liberty Society here.
Nice.
And well, me with my friend Jima, and well, we've only just started, and fingers crossed I can at least get some ideas out there without being thrown down. Because, for instance, we have 3 socialist societies at the university alone. We have the socialist students, we have the revolutionary socialists.
You're at one school, Leeds University.
Yeah,
and they couldn't just have
Leeds.
like one socialist organization. They have to have 3. Is
Yeah,
this like the Palestinian Liberation Front and the Liberation Front of Palestine?
They've got more than that. We have the socialist students, we have the revolutionary socialists, we have there was another socialist one anyway, and then we've got the Marxists as well, so that brings it to 4. Then we've got the Palestinian Liberation Group, and then there's just so much anyway, and it just seems like we're the only common sense society, and sometimes it's just so mind numbing. It really is. I mean, I wish.
Go ahead.
I just wish that people would listen. But that's another thing. I mean, because people in the UK because we're all socialist retards here, is there any way like you can think of to just promote freedom and make freedom seem attractive?
Well, I hope my book is helpful. And, the last 3 months I've been totally focused on this. And every time there's a problem in the world, I go, wait. Well, once everybody on the planet has read my book, everything's going to be all better and everything's going to be okay. But it's a unique tool that it condenses the philosophy and it speaks to it from a global perspective in a way that I hope for someone like you is going to be very valuable for your outreach. And at least it's going to get the position out in a way that's clear, that's concise, that gives people something, a socialist, for example, something they can sink their teeth into and say, well, I don't agree, but I get it, and at least can really hone in on what those disagreements are, as opposed to, well, you like the poor being taken care of and you don't, those kind of shallow, misguided conversations. Whereas no, this is well established. This isn't just a crackpot idea. We'll be able to take care of the poor better, not by when we stop pointing guns at each other in order to do it. Like that, and it really lays that out. And I think I hope that when that comes out, that's a valuable tool for you. But until then, there are a lot of ways that you can get people to think. And one of the things that I want to ask you about specifically that I think our audience would find interesting, that compares activism in the United States to in England, is that you still have, in the United States especially, it's really obvious. We are citizens of the empire. We are, in a sense, taken care of better. We enjoy a higher standard of living on average, the average American versus, most other countries in the world. Although I know, yes, in a lot of ways, this racket is failing and it's slipping in this regard. But we are taken care of. We are protected. We are the beneficiaries of the dollar empire. Our money goes further in international markets because of our government bullying people in the oil and gas industry, or for oil and gas rights, or for American interests, and all the ways that it's used with the debt with China, all the various manipulations there. I would think that in England you have the same problem when you're trying to convince citizens of the empire in the United States that, hey, the system isn't good, because they're saying, well, it's good for me. Well, guess what? Your quality of life is at the expense of all the starving kids in Africa, of all the people suffering from pollution in China, of every disadvantaged person in the world, in the Middle East, who's suffering at the hands of the American military machine, for everybody whose government is strong where the people are weak because the CIA has been screwing with the affairs of other countries. Your quality of life is what it is because this government is screwing over these other people, and they are protecting you, and they are enriching you so that you'll shut up and stop thinking about it, and you'll be tempted by the socialist arguments. Do you think there's some of that behind this mentality that you describe at Leeds University?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I was saying, when we're trying to promote the ideas of freedom, they call us corporate shills. It's, well, how are we corporate shills when we really want to just completely, well, I personally want to completely obliterate the government and the monarchy, completely.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just stop you for a second since you brought this up. I almost forgot, like, you're coming from the country that still has a queen. Like, like you guys got, you're trying to convince people of libertarianism. How about, get out of the dark ages? Maybe walk before you run, right? Can we convince people in England, like, hey, maybe you don't need a monarchy anymore? Have you thought about working on it from that angle?
I mean, I've not actually really thought about it that way. But the idea of the monarchy is just so attractive to a lot of people. I mean, take for instance the royal wedding. I mean, it was a horrible example.
It's engineered for celebrity culture. The princess and the prince and all the fairy tale bullshit. Yeah, it's engineered for that. It's perfect propaganda at this point, and that's why it still continues. But God, you guys have work to do. Really. You're trying to convince people of all of these higher order things, and you haven't convinced them to get rid of the monarchy yet.
Well, they're quite happy being tax cattle. I mean, it may only be 50 pence a person in the UK, but regardless, that's 50p. 50 pence taken by threat of force, by violence, and well, like I was saying about mental gymnastics, they say, oh, it's great for the economy, brings everything in, but I don't. If they really care about the economy, we wouldn't have such an enormous government in the first place. We wouldn't have a government at all. And it's just making bullshit excuses. That's all it is. It really winds me up.
Well, you know
Really
what?
does.
I appreciate that. We'll just end with one more closing thought here. And Dominic, I really appreciate the call. We love all of our international fans here for Adam versus the Man especially. But, for not being victims of the American government and still being able to figure this out, that we have something of value to offer here. I hear a certain frustration in your voice. And I'll tell you what. I'll just give you this one more parting thought, and I love that someone like you, as an activist, as a student activist, is calling in. I'm really glad that you've started an SFL chapter. I think that's huge, and just being able to plant the flag and represent those ideas on campus, but especially when you're on a college campus and you're competing with keggers and people in the prime of their sexual lives and all of the other distractions of college life. Yeah. You're not going to win anybody over to your cause by being frustrated, by being, disgruntled and angry at the world. And I know I can tell you're a well-balanced guy. I can tell you're a happy guy. If you can figure out a way to find that and re-engineer your attitude towards politics and activism and libertarianism to that, you're going to have a lot more success. So thanks for calling in tonight.
No problem. Well, thanks for having me anyway. It's great. And again, it's great to have you back, Adam.
All right. We'll be keeping the conversation going here. So we have two more special guests we want to get in tonight, Gary Franchi and Tony Stiles. And now I know Tony is going on air himself in a little bit. I don't see him here. Maybe we'll have to get him on next week. But do we have any word about Gary Franchi? Does he want to come in? Is he free? Is he free now? I didn't get another text from him. All right. Well, it's 8:47, and we have... Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Look at him. Oh wait, there's Tony. Let's see if he's on. Let's see if we can get him. He said he sent a video message to the other Skype. ladies and gentlemen, the king of Mohawk Nation, Tony Styles.
I think that's under debate now.
It's under debate now. Oh, Caesar, you got to step around. You can't say something like that and not get on camera. Now you got to like, yeah, there you go. All right, head up. Look at the camera. There it is, the new king of Mohawk Nation. Mr. January. All right, he's not answering. So we have time. I think we're gonna take a couple more calls. It's getting up on 9 o'clock, and I'm always the last one to leave one of these gigs. So Demeter. Oh yeah, let's get Demeter on. Where is he? Were you looking?
She got a picture of me.
Oh, of course.
So I win by default then, huh?
Yeah, you win by default. So we're gonna take. Maybe we'll just take one or two more calls, and then I'm gonna go through all of these chats. I'm gonna read every single one before we go off the air tonight, and at least respond to them on the air. All right, there's Demeter. You should call me because it's past my bedtime, but I'm an anti-establishment anarchist. Yeah, sticking it to the man, staying up past his bedtime to call in to Adam versus the man, Andrew Demeter. He's on the East Coast in Canada, isn't he?
I think he's in Florida.
Or Florida? Oh, well, it's definitely past his bedtime. If I was on the East Coast, it'd be past my bedtime. Oh. Oh, no, we missed him. It was early. Yeah, he was here at the beginning of the broadcast tonight. All right. I'll have to send him a chat later. Oh, this is overwhelming. I'm really excited. We've got so many people here who are chatting in. Mario Ayala. This is Mario, an active duty soldier trying to call again. Oh, this might be our last call. This is a good one. Were you there when Mario called in last time? I think it was after you left, John. But
active duty servicemen calling in.
yeah. It's like the ultimate act of defiance when you're in the military resistance. Calling in to Adam versus the man. I sent him an email. All right. Mario, welcome back.
Thanks for having me on, brother. It's been, wow, it's been over a year since last time I spoke to you.
No kidding. How you been, man?
I've been good, bro. Just dealing with the man, just doing my reading on certain economists and just focusing. I got a year left before I get out.
You were on active duty, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you still are.
Yes.
This is cool. This is Adam versus the man is turning into a military counter-organizing strategy session. Now, hold on, if I may for a second, Mario. This is really cool because when I was in the anti-war movement, a big part of what we did was counter-recruiting. And it's just what it sounds like, you know. You convince people not to enlist for whatever reason you can. And now, you know, I feel like since I've stopped being active in the anti-war movement and instead started talking about this coherent philosophy that is really, you know, touching so many people and really gives people, a coherent view that they can take into their military resistance. I think I've been, you know, far more effective at fostering military resistance rather, you know, as a liberty activist or a freedom activist rather than as an anti-war activist. And I guess as a veteran, it certainly makes it easier to relate. But Mario, we're honored to have you on again. Tell us, what's the last year been like for you?
It's been all right. It's just a lot of tedious training.
You lost your shirt, I see, in the last year. I'm sorry to hear that.
I lost what?
You lost your shirt in this last year. I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm so sorry.
Times are tough, huh?
AVTM shirt.
The military. He's like, yeah, I'm in the Marines. I look for any opportunity I can to take my shirt off. Yeah, I'm calling in Adam versus the man. Why not?
Hey, my bad, bro.
No worries. Don't worry. I don't think your CO is watching this, and if they do, they probably already know who you are. I presume. But give us an update on like how's your you didn't have to do that. What's your resistance been like?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Adam. I've mainly been dealing with the job. You know, I'm more word to mouth. I've shared your videos with a lot of my friends, guys who are getting out, and they're very intrigued and they very much appreciate your videos for a multitude of reasons, whether it be humorous or the message of liberty, you know, voluntary interactions between parties and stuff like that. And you know, being passionate about this, you know, it spreads among people because I've also put people onto other intellects and scholars economically. You know, like one guy you've probably heard of, I kind of introduced you to indirectly was Thomas Sowell. I'm sure you're familiar with his work. Hello?
No, I'm sorry, Thomas Sowell.
Sowell.
Oh, Sowell. Yes. Sorry.
Yes. So, I mean, I've just been putting people on to different things just as a word to mouth and hearsay, thanks to YouTube and all these other ways of alternative media.
And by this, hold on, just to clarify, you mean specifically like one-on-one outreach, independent, you know, working on guys that are in the military, right?
Yeah. I just put them onto these ideas. You know, when your show was on last year and I had my iPod still, you know, driving guys to and from the motor pool, I would play your radio show and they were very much into it. Yeah, no bullshit. Like instead of playing music, I would give these guys a choice. I'd be like, would you want to listen to Adam versus the Man, or I put on some music and I'll be like Adam versus the Man.
Damn. I'm honored. This is great. No, that Adam versus the Man has become a tool for subversiveness in the military is just incredible. But then tell me, what you must also be running into certain resistance, right? I mean, what's that like? What do you have any interesting stories of conflict, or maybe guys with kind of the hyper aggro denial reaction?
Yes and no. I had a good friend of mine. It wasn't really political, but he started to, I guess, he started doing some Kokeshisms. We in our unit, we have our this is petty. I just thought it was funny that I share. We have our unit PT shirts that we usually wear instead of the usual Army gray PT shirt, and he decided to just do civil disobedience and constantly show up to PT with his gray shirt. I was like, look, dude, you got to take it easy, man. Stop with the Kokeshisms. You know, you got to keep a limit on it.
Is this okay? So this is a thing now in the Marines. Okay, we've heard the word Kokesh used in a variety of contexts. This is the best one yet. Did you hear this, Jeffrey? In the Marines now, pulling an act of resistance, like showing up with the wrong shirt on, is referred to as pulling a Kokesh. At least in this one particular unit.
Yes.
And this is Mario, and he's the guy that's waking people up, and he's got to tell people, like, slow down, devil dog, right?
Yeah. Well, there's just a quick correction. I'm in the Army. I'm not in the Marines.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
We like to extend that. You know, we like to assume either that or you're not good enough. I apologize. So, what kind of unit is this? Who are the kind of guys you're dealing with?
I'm in an infantry unit. I am infantry. But a lot of the guys that, you know, I get acquainted with all types of people. With a buddy in particular who done these acts, he's a medic. And he was a good buddy of mine. We lived in the same barracks. And then I just thought we were hanging out, and I just showed him like 1 and 2 of your videos of, you know, you talking to the police, or the great video of you talking to soldiers on the 9/11 a year or 2 years ago, which is great. And you know, your videos are great means to wake people up. You know, your methods. It's also humorous too. Some of the things you do and say, which I get a kick out of, along with the seriousness.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Do you have any requests in terms of material or subjects covered that you think would make military outreach easier for you?
Oh, what do you mean? Like any requests, like as to what you would want to do, or
stories you want me to cover? You know, we're going to be starting back with like a full regular live show, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, covering all the headlines and you know, activist stuff. And then let me just say, because it's getting a little late here. We're going to be wrapping this up soon. You're going to be our last caller.
I shot on the hip. My brother who lives in New York, I'm from New York, so is he. He's a big fan of yours too. He's into all these types of ideas. He told me that your show was on, and he reminded me because I'm in Hawaii still, so I forgot the time, and he's listened to it.
Nice.
I was like, you know what? Let me try calling them.
Well, you got through like just at the right time to get on top of the stack on Skype. And for everybody that chatted in, I'm gonna go through when we wrap up with Mario here. We're gonna go through every single chat that we've got in the last 2 hours, and at least read and respond. And hopefully I won't be here for a whole other hour. But as long as we're talking about it with Mario, I do want to say that when we bring the live show back, you know, as a regular production, it'll be starting this Thursday. you know, we really want to do, you know, we're obviously we've upped our game with the production standard. I think what you can see just from the show in the last 2 hours, we've got a way better setup than we had last time. The production quality is going to be a lot better. You're going to see this on YouTube as well. The production quality is going to be something that you can be proud of, something that you can help share with people. And we're going to be doing every single day. We're going to be doing call-ins like this. So I'm gonna get better with the, you know, with dealing with Skype. I got to get back into the routine. But a couple of the things that we want to do differently than ever before is really make the show about you know, a positive message. Really make it about how being libertarian makes your life better and show people that. And so we need your help with the audience. You know, as the audience.
You
Go
did
ahead.
good with that before. I don't see any downfalls with your program before. Honestly, like, well, like my brother told me, he said he was listening to your show that you want to change your approach to how you do your man on the street videos with people, which is fine. You know,
No, I'm not. That's not going to change much. I think that's evolved a little bit as I've evolved, and and from what I've seen when I was at CPAC, and we released some of those videos. There's a lot more coming. We released a couple videos recently from the courthouse in Chatsworth, and you know, I'm operating at a deeper level as I'm always getting deeper. But the core concept of, you know, the Socratic dialogue and of putting people on the spot, you know, it's the exact. I think that's the one thing that's not going to change about the operation. But in terms of the studio stuff, man, the podcast before, I was so disorganized. You know, it used to hurt me to admit this.
As fans, though, and me personally, I don't, and I can say from other people, I don't think we A, noticed that, or B, it really got involved with the production, because you still put on a 3-hour show every day, you know, and I would still tune into it regularly, despite whether I was able to see what was going on behind the studio or not, you know?
It's going to be a lot better. You're going to notice how much better it's going to get, and you're going to notice.
If you say so.
You're going to notice how much better prepared we're going to be, and you know how much more we're able to bring people information that matters, and also to make this something that's fun to join. You know, like before, it would be like, oh crap, Adam, you're live in 5 minutes. Quick, pull up Drudge Report and, you know, grab a few stories that you can rant off the top of your head. And for me, what comes out when I do that is usually much more angry, you know, and fist shaking and really ill thought out than what I want to be and what I intend to be, and we're going to be bringing that to the new live show. So especially for guys that are in the military, that are doing that kind of activism, we want the show to be as effective as possible as a tool for outreach. Hey, you want a video covering this topic, you know, or this. And I will say one thing: the book, and I again going back to the book. There's one part in the book that I think is really important for guys in the military to understand, and I'll sum it up real quick here, because this is actually an idea that most libertarians haven't considered until they've really tried advocating for anarcho-capitalism, advocating for a stateless society. And the reason is, if you don't go to that point, or if you do, and you might understand that there's this ideal of voluntarism, of a free society where all relations are free of coercion, we're able to meet our potential, so on and so forth. And you go, okay, well, yeah, if no other country has a government and no other country has a military, then it's very easy. Yes, eventually there's this ideal. If government's a necessary evil, military's a necessary evil. Yes, someday it would be unnecessary. But the how do you get there is much easier if you understand that the military actually doesn't keep us safe. Having a military makes us less safe. This is why the American founders said it the way they did, that the greatest threat to liberty.
Costa Rica is a good example of that.
What's that?
I said Costa Rica is a good example of
yes, Costa Rica has no military.
Yes.
And when you are willing to subject yourself to taxation, to exploitation, other governments have an incentive to invade your country, to take over the tax base, to expand their power over gullible sheeple. Not only that, but modern militaries, especially the American military, as you know, create more enemies than we can kill. They are creating enemies, and this is what I saw firsthand in Iraq, faster than we can kill them. But Mario, really, I hope that you continue your work. I think that's amazing. I'm really honored to be providing something of value to you in the most important outreach that you are doing to your fellow soldiers. So if there's ever anything that you want to see me do, or you say, Adam, make a video about this. By the way, our producer now, Stan Cruz, who we're really excited to have on board with the team, is an animator, so we can do fun, you know, military themed stuff if you have ideas for that.
I wanted to, Adam, like paint a picture for you. I know you were in the Marines, but as far as my experience goes with talking to people, because the way I look at it, Adam, and anybody, is that majority of people in the military, including myself, including college grads, unskilled workers, are here for a job. You know, like me and my brother were just discussing. My brother's a big fan of your shows. He has his teaching degree. He wants to get started in that. Is that government implodes the economy to the point where they make you dependent on them. And I look at that from so many things. You know, like he wants to be a teacher, but he's iffy in New York City. He's iffy about, being indoctrinating kids into the public school system, you know? And it's harder for people who really do care about kids' education, who want to start up a school in the private sector, you know? And it's just, I was using a reference like in the military. It's, you know, a lot of young adults or college grads that are trying to find jobs and they can't. So they resort to the state, which has all these benefits at somebody else's cost, you know?
Yes, it's very important for the movement to seek to empower people. If you tell people, oh yeah, the state's evil and we should try to do without it, and you don't show them a way, it's a lot harder for them. Anyway, Mario, any parting thoughts? Really appreciate the call tonight.
Oh no, man! I try to call in periodically, probably once every few weeks or however. I don't want to bombard you too much. I understand you got a lot of guests and other callers, and yeah, definitely I'll give you an update. I'll probably start taking pictures of my AVTM shirt, or something like that. I don't know.
Well, no, I
wear it
appreciate
everywhere, literally.
appreciate you calling in from Hawaii. I know it's earlier there, middle of a Sunday afternoon probably, but yeah, and if you ever want to call in, for, you know, people that are doing your kind of activism are especially important for our audience to hear from. Feel free to email me and we can schedule something. We'll look forward to hearing from you again, Mario. Thanks again. All right. That's it for the live calls tonight. So I will say that really appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to get to all of these chats, at least until I pass out. But before I get into that, let me just say it's great being back. It's a real honor to have people that are tuning in right now, that are listening to this live. Of course, it's going to go up as a podcast as well. And you know, when I was in jail, and for everything that I've experienced over this last year, I feel like I've matured in ways that I didn't feel were even possible before. And that's kind of a scary thing to say just like that. But I really believe that a lot of the lessons I've learned the hard way are going to make the show a lot better. And we've got a whole new team here. I mean, right now, like I said, we just convinced John Caesar to move to California. He's going to be taking up residency on the futon here in the studio. Jeffrey Phillips, as you know, the guy that salvaged my business when I was in jail. Sierra Adamson is here, who helped get me across country and really was available at the right time to do some amazing work to help me get from out of jail, starting from scratch, to now we're here in this full studio. We've got Kayla Tonga as part of the crew in the house here as the other, you know what I'm going to say, right? The other, hey, there she is, the other kitchen babe. Thanks, Kayla. What? Whoa, dude, did you see that? It's okay when it's not on the air, or it's sort of okay, but when it's on the air, it's like totally evil. Anyway, we have amazing people here. Like I said, we have Stan Cruz on as a producer. We have a wonderful team of interns. We have Dean Ryan helping out booking guests. We have lots of amazing people in Los Angeles who are contributing to the show in various ways. Lots of people that I'm forgetting. Anthony Antonello is going to be booking guests for us. You're going to be hearing from our fundraiser and store manager, Brian Miller, based out of Arizona. Real excited to have him on the team. And it's coming together. This is it. This is it. Next Thursday, or excuse me, this Thursday in 4 days, we're doing our first full live production covering headlines, everything else. We're going to be doing some recaps. Did I miss anything in the last year while I was in jail? Anything interesting happen that you think I should report on? Let me know. Send me an email, adam@adamversustheman.com. Thanks again to everybody who's donated over the last couple months to make this possible. It's just been incredible to see the kind of support, and we're going to make sure that it all gets channeled to bringing you the best production possible. The show, when it comes back, is going to be better than it's ever been. So thank you so much. We now get to all of the extra chats on Skype. Let's see. Jeremy writes. No, wait. These are just contact requests, some of them. They just you reservist out, no big deal. Is there a group chat? Oh, that's a good question. By the way, yeah. By the time, hopefully by Thursday, we will also have a chat like we did before, that'll appear at the bottom of the screen below the main for the live feed. Excuse me, you'll just have to create an account for our forum, and you'll be able to live chat in the show, and we'll have our producer keeping track of the chat during the show as well. I can't read your chat when a guest is on. This person said, ask her what they are spraying us with. Well, we're going to have Kristin Meghan back on to talk about geoengineering. Chemical companies, brotherhood as well. Lowell, fuck the system, gray shirt. All right, thank you. Thomas Whitehouse. Adam, I like your stances on property rights, but you're totally wrong about the science. Science says GMOs are not harmful. Fact. Interesting. Now, the GMOs are a really controversial topic within the liberty movement. And I say that for a specific reason, is that a lot of the response to GMOs has been, let's find a government solution. And for when it is a legitimate privacy or excuse me, property rights violation issue, then, okay, you're turning to organized coercion. There might be some level of justification for that. And we've heard all these stories about Monsanto, and I'm sorry, Thomas, I got to call bullshit because I know that, you can say science says. Really, science says? I think science says a lot of things that need to be questioned when you put it that way. But if GMOs, I'm actually, among libertarians, relatively moderate if you think about the issue of GMOs. They have a place. GMOs themselves are not a violation of the non-aggression principle. As that technology is developed, if it were developed in a world without government, it would be developed safely and in a way where you wouldn't have these, these corporatist advantages built into the system where you get the abuse of property rights. So definitely an issue we're going to be getting into more. Andy Peterson, is this Adam Kokesh, the Adam versus the Man guy? It is. It is. All right, 34 chats from Timothy Heald. Oh, I'm a prior service infantryman with 8 years of service and 3 honorable discharges, a paratrooper in LRP. I was added to the VA's fiduciary program, the unemployability program, and I would like to discuss these issues. Yeah. Tim, we're definitely going to want to have you on again. I'm sorry we missed you today. Please call back Thursday or Friday. Carrick Campy writes, hi, Adam. It's good to see you in action again. Would you make the case for or against revoking citizenship if you had it since you were born? I'm not really sure how to answer this. If you had citizenship since you were born, would I make the case for or against revoking it? Well, I'm for revoking citizenship in the sense that we should revoke the mechanism of citizenship, but it's like getting married or getting a driver's license or any other state registry thing. Should you have citizenship or not? You got to make the practical decision for yourself. If the government said, well, if you're not a citizen and you don't fill out this one form, you're not going to get your $25,000 a year citizenship benefits. Well, fill out the damn form, we weigh the decision for yourself, and some people there's a benefit that outweighs that. So I hope that answers the question. Jeremy writes, I guess, should I start doing first name and last initial only? Jeremy G. All right, now people are just responding to what I'm saying now. All right. Here are the other ones from Tim. These are the fun ones. Okay, I'll give. He's real. A shitbag, but real. Wait, pissed, hot, she, Wookie, bwaha. Show us skin, botch. At life. Fuck it. I'm gonna shit. This dude is a piece of shit. Nah, dude. Contract violation. Fuck this shit. Dude is a pink pussy bitch. He hasn't kept his word. All right, I don't know what he's reacting to or talking to. I just had to give you guys a sample of that. All right, Barrett N. No, that's just a contact request. Chris C. writes, there is something bigger going on here. It is pure human will rising. Oh, that was back from 7:30. Adam, are you open to expatriation / creating a global diaspora, willing to explore the idea? By the way, in case you weren't aware, there is a libertarian diaspora going on right now from the United States, primarily south, but to a lot of other countries. I know libertarians that have moved to Singapore and United Arab Emirates. But going to Argentina, you have Jeff Berwick with the Dollar Vigilante, right? Taking people not just to Mexico, but Argentina. Did you get to go to Argentina? Chile. Were you in Chile? Or is it Galt's Chile is their new project? Yeah. I'm I've kind of staked out for myself, stand and fight here in America, but I'm not really going to hold it against people for making the other decision, because it's really about, what's best for them as individuals. The liberty movement has all its eggs in one basket right now, a basket that we expect to burn. Yeah, but it's not going to burn the eggs. See, the basket burns and the eggs are released slightly warmer than they were before. That wasn't the best challenge of your analogy, but it fails, trust me. All right, moving on. We got a lot of chats to get to. Jamie Martin, just a contact request. Jack Dolan, my question, do you think it's ANCAPs, ANCOMs, and other anarchist groups can come together on common ground? It seems that there are just too many separating ideologies to find any room for agreement. Assuming you get my question. Anyway, I'm afraid I won't be able to meet you on camera. I have prison in the morning. Public school, and it's already 11:30 p.m. here in New York. Well, thanks for writing in, Jack. I appreciate it. I think there is a common ground, but I think where we see real change, it's the common ground is much broader. This how can we bring ANCAPs and ANCOMs together? Who cares? We're already so close. When it comes to any kind of like practical policy stuff or revolutionary change, or even, working to wake people up or issue advocacy, right? We should be pretty well aligned. Although I think the anarcho-capitalist movement is advancing a lot faster because it's based on a sound, consistent philosophy and ideology that is waking people up, whereas, anarcho-communism is kind of where you go if you're disgruntled but still don't quite understand economics or want to impose some fantasy view of human nature and how property rights would work in your anarcho-communist fantasy. But again, anarcho-communism is really not in conflict with anarcho-capitalism when it comes to immediate policy. And saying that there's really anarcho-communism versus anarcho-capitalism, and this might be based on my specific understanding of one form of anarcho-communism, but this is the problem with all of these philosophies that are not based on simple core thinking, objective analysis and rational analysis, as anarcho-capitalism is. So anarcho-communism, as soon as you say that word, it means different things to different people. It means different visions. But in a sense, they are all happening, most of them, under the rubric of a broader scale anarcho-capitalism. So saying that there's a conflict between anarcho-capitalists and anarcho-communists is kind of like there's a conflict between anarcho-capitalists who want to live in a nudist colony and anarcho-capitalists who want to live in a not nudist colony. Hey, if we achieve an anarcho-capitalist society and you want to build your commune to your taste, hey, clothes on or off, your option. That's cool with me. So I think bringing people together, what we do to bring people together is take the lead, is make specific proposals, take specific action, make real change. But what's leading us really when you're an anarcho-capitalist or a voluntarist or a true libertarian is this philosophy of nonviolence. And I think that's what leads us, and I think that's what is ultimately going to bring people together. All right, now people are chatting me to respond to stuff I'm saying now. We're not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go down the list because otherwise we will be here all night. All right, someone was asking about Tatiana Coin. What's the website again, Caesar? TatianaMoroz.com. Yeah. Gotta ask Caesar, right? Caesar would know. As a libertarian, this is a good one. Jeffrey Cope, as a libertarian / voluntarist / anarcho-capitalist or president, what is your stance on the nuclear issues? That's a really good question, and this is one of the things I'm looking forward to when in my first day in office as the last president of the United States of America, is immediately initiating a plan to completely dismantle the nuclear arsenal. If there's a way to de-weaponize it and privatize it, and we can take some of that money and give it back to the taxpayers who were stolen from in order to pay for it in the first place, then great. I'm not, as long as there is, and actually this came up, someone who read my book raised a very important objection to it in the chapter about sexual assault when I describe the, ideal of ostracism and boycott as ways of dealing with violent criminals. And I believe that, once we achieve a stateless society, we have to say we don't know what the market is going to produce. We don't know what it's going to look like. And it was almost presumptuous of me to say that it's going to be dealt with like that. But I think one of the things we have to acknowledge, or I'd rather advocate for even, as a means of having a nonviolent or a smooth transition to a stateless society, is that you can say, well, when you have a stateless society, you're going to have private corporations that are or companies that are gonna do this or that or the other, and it's gonna be so much better because it's gonna be free market, and it's gonna be like this, and we're gonna have flying cars and food towers and 3D printers all over the place, and it's not gonna look anything like what we have today. People go, that's a real for people who are pragmatic as opposed to ideological in their thinking. That's not the sales pitch that's going to work. But if you simply say, well, at first, you're going to have things that are going to be non-violent, that are going to be non-coercive, non-governmental, privatized, so to speak, quote unquote, and they're going to look just like government services. And only then, after you've had some time for the market to express itself, will you see that develop. Will you see all of the amazing things that we're capable of come to fruition? So at first, we shouldn't have our expectations too high. It's not like, hey, we're going to abolish government and all of a sudden all of these wonderful institutions of our fantasies are going to exist. No, at first, it's going to look like government. It's just going to be non-coercion based. And then there's going to be a transition out of it. I think that allows for people to see a much more practical way of easing out of that. It's something I got to work into the book now. All right, our good friend Miles Woodward writes, I'd like to ask your opinion on speaking with left anarchists. Are there is there an upswing, and this is like a distraction for the movement? What's going on here? What I really want to know is how many anarcho-capitalists are there versus anarcho-communists? Jeffrey, you got I see the gears turning. You got an idea how many? First of all, how many anarcho-capitalists are there, true libertarians in the United States? 330-something million people. Is it fully 1% that is fully on board with the philosophy? I would probably say, let's be conservative, 0.5%. Sure. So if 1% is 3 million, roughly, we're talking about 1.5 million. That sounds maybe being a little generous. It sounds about right, 1.5 million. Most of whom are not active, most of whom are not paying attention, but get the philosophy and are like, well, they've moved on with their lives without government, right? So how many anarcho-communists are there, though? 25? Well, we saw all 30 of them in a drum circle this one time at Occupy San Francisco, and since then they have not been seen outside of their parents' basements. But I guess if you want to chalk up a lot of the Occupy, even if you gave them credit for a major chunk of the Occupy movement, again, here I go collectivizing anarcho-communists, they deserve it. How much of the Occupy movement represented that? You kind of get a sense of how much, yes, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yes, I know there's a deeper base of support for anything versus what you see in the public eye. But I hope I piss off somebody with this. There can't be more than, I don't know, 25,000 to 100,000. Is that too many? Anarcho-communists in the entire United States? That's way too many? Dean should have a good census. How many? First, anarcho. If we use the benchmark, and this is probably way too many, 1.5 million true philosophical libertarians in America out of 330 million. That's less than 0.5%, right? 1.5 million. How many anarcho-communists are there in America?
A good 30 or so.
30. All right, a good 30. All right. So, why are we worried about these people? Now I hope now maybe we'll get some actual anarcho-communists to call in and debate on the next show, and they can be like, oh no, there's 40 of us. We just recruited 10 people in this last decade, and then we'll get a sense of what the anarcho-communist movement is. But why would we, if we're this philosophically driven movement, and you know what, one of the coolest thing about being a libertarian is that you can see that you're on the cutting edge, barely now. And yet, this is where society is going. You can see the trends. You can see all these things that are helping people figure out what we went through. We know, as people that have woken up the way that we have, that you don't go back to sleep. And you can embrace this philosophy with absolute confidence and knowing that, over time there are only going to be more of us, not less of us. and that the general trend of society is coming our way. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily that we're not going to all blow each other up with nuclear weapons first, but that the general trends are really clear. So why are we worried about this little, like, if anything, we should just be incorporating them, or like, convincing them. I will say though, if you really want to, this is to answer Miles' question, although I think we're going to have to get into this in later episodes. If the core difference between an anarcho-capitalist and an anarcho-communist is that an anarcho-communist has a warped sense of property rights, then you have to address that. And that's it. And if you say, look, your view of what you want to do with your property doesn't conflict with my view of property rights, I'm fighting for your right to be a communist with yourself, with your own property. That's fine, and knock yourself out. You can be a hyper generous libertarian. You're still a libertarian. A libertarian or a conservative who gives away a lot of their stuff does not magically become a communist. So the fact that they have like turned that into this ideology for local organizing once we've achieved a stateless society, I'm not particularly concerned by their relevance. All right, so going down the chain here, Uprising Truth. Hi, Adam. Welcome back to the police state. Just a quick question. What can an individual do to help spread the message of liberty in a smaller town where it seems that there are no other liberty activists around here? Also, have you heard that Caleb is in jail and there's a call bomb tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time? I did not hear about that. Did we get the, Jeffrey, did you hear about the call bomb for Caleb? They were posting that? You already got it on the Facebook page and Twitter? Yeah? No? Oh, he's on it right now. It'll be shared. Thank you very much, Uprising Truth. We'll get on this. I appreciate being welcomed back. All right. Mark Sherwinski. Hey, Adam, it's Mark with the Citizens column. Oh, shoot, we missed him. He wanted to come on earlier. Sorry about that. Mark, we're going to get you on another show, I'm sure. Freddie writes, hey, Adam, I've been a big fan of Adam for a while and would love to discuss politics and all sorts of things on his show. I'm a relative of Paul Gessing. Ooh. Small world. Small movement. You sure there's 1.5 million of us? I've seen that my cousin has done a few shows with Adam before. All right. Well, we will get you on in the future. Again, Julio, awesome. Question. How is LA for you and what are your plans there? I see a lot of people on YouTube doing big things there. Yeah, imagine that. LA's been awesome. And a lot of people are saying, like, welcome to California. This is moving back for me. I was actually born in San Francisco, raised in the Bay Area, went to college in Claremont, never actually lived in LA. So it's not that much of a jump for me, but so far it's been a blast. And this place, LA's just been really welcoming. And you'd be surprised how many libertarians there are in LA. Like really, given the California state government, you're like, what is this? But maybe Jeffrey can explain this as someone who's lived here longer. But it's like you can't be conservative here because California just doesn't tolerate control freak assholes. If you get economics in the way that an average conservative does, you at least have to be like, well, I'm socially liberal, and then next thing you know, you're a libertarian, right? Something like that. He's shaking his head yes. Okay. Why are you smiling? No, the reason there are so many libertarians in LA is because Jeffrey has been here converting them for the last several years and been extremely effective in that. And that's why we have such a strong base here. Curtis writes, I was arrested recently for filming the cops breaking down my door. Well, I hope you can email us the video for that, and we'll get you on to tell the story. Christopher Klisch writes, oh my gosh, I'm a German libertarian, and it would be an honor for me to talk to you. This is the first time we could have had a German caller for the show. We'll get you on next time, Christoph. It's Christoph Klisch. Thank you so much for writing in. Love our international fans. Will writes, hello, I want to reach out to you because I know you are a very influential person in the liberty movement. I have a story that I feel as if you might be interested in and willing to help spread the word. The situation involves an Afghan war veteran. Awesome. Sorry I didn't. With TBI and PTSD, that's traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. His injuries have been ignored by the Army, and now they have arrested him and held him for months in military prison. The reasons he has been held are directly related to his combat injuries, which the Army has failed to treat. They are pursuing a court-martial where they will try to strip him of all benefits and give him a dishonorable discharge. This is an extreme injustice. I strongly urge you to look at the page. Free Cody Fretts. That's Cody, C-O-D-Y, F-R-E-T-T-S, for a more in-depth look into the situation. He is a patriot who fought valiantly for his country, and now they have turned their back on him. It is a sad story, and I hope you can help draw attention to this injustice. William, thank you so much for sharing the story. I'm sorry we didn't get to have you on calling in today, but if you email me the details, and I hope people will look this up, we will look into this. And I love helping people out like this. Seriously, every chance I get where we can use our audience full of activists who care about the issues that I care, who look out for people who are victims of the state, anything we can do to step in, we will do to help. So, the other thing, if people are in these situations that I like to be able to do to help, is a lot of people will put something together that they think is going to be the thing that's going to go viral, that everybody's going to, get the message from or get the story from, and don't have their stuff organized. Or if you're in a position where, like, hey, Adam, my best friend just got arrested. I'm not an activist. I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you create a Facebook page? Can you help him out? We have a prosecutor who needs to be phone bombed. We have, he's in this jail where he's being abused, or she's dealing with, custody, or her, an ex, and they're fighting through the courts, and whatever it is. I love being able to help people out with just that little level of organization that is going to help them get, connect to my audience, but connect to, the general audience on Facebook or on Twitter, and get people to do those kinds of things, because there are a lot of people out there. And I know the Adam versus the Man audience is full of people who love to help out, because I've benefited from it so much myself when I was in jail. People who will make phone calls, people who will write letters. And, I'm all about using this platform to help people in those situations. Show me by, okay, no, all these are just contact requests now. And we've got Chris Meadows. Oh, these are people who we added before. All right, marijuana legalization. I want to know more about what you're doing as a libertarian and what a libertarian really is. I know not much about it, but I enjoy following you. I love that. You know what? There's another part of, another sector of the audience near and dear to my heart. People who just appreciate Adam versus the Man and don't get the message yet. We can help. Tune in Thursday. We'll be going live and getting into all of these issues and taking more calls in. Oh, we didn't get to talk to Tori. She was ready. Tori's going to be a regular caller on the show, I'm sure. She wants Kristin to talk to her husband about the chemtrails. I'm from knowing Tori, I'm hearing an interesting note of denial about that. All right. Someone was trying to call me. Don't try to call me during the show. I'll figure out a way that won't be an interruption again. You send me a chat. I read it. Bring you on. Simple as that. All right. One of my questions was about what some have called libertarian socialism. This is from Sleepy Salsa. Sleepy Salsa. I think they sell that at dispensaries here. For instance, what do you think of the writings of Rudolph Rocker, Benjamin Tucker, Peter Kropotkin? I wish I was more familiar with them. That's what I think. What do you think of the so-called... Oh, hey, 9:30. Time for me to start getting ready for bed. I guess that means we need to wrap up the show. What do you think of so-called libertarian socialism? Am I in the queue? You're in the queue to have your chat read, and you're done. Thank you so much for chatting in. We're going to get to all these issues when we do the live show, because we're going to be doing live calls 5 days of the week. Oh, wait, we have a couple more questions here. Chris Meadows, what were you discharged for? I was discharged for bringing a pistol back from Iraq the first time. Yeah. We'll get into that story in our third book. With all my war memoirs and everything. I wrote that for my college thesis, and we haven't published it yet. But the book I'm working on is far more important. Anyway, I don't know what big Skype numbers are, but yo, good to see you back, man. Thank you, Mike Salvi. I appreciate it. Yes, that was Michael Salvi. Like he doesn't know how to use Skype. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to the first AVTM 4.0 live podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. It's been a blast. Hey, the live studio audience is back. We'll be taking your calls here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for making the show possible. AdamVersusTheMan.com/invest. If you enjoyed what you heard tonight, chip in, keep this thing going. We got to keep the lights on. We haven't figured out how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to get there with your help, with your support, with all these lovely people here in Los Angeles. And thank you so much for being a part of this. We will talk to you on Thursday right here at AdamVersusTheMan.com/live. All right, this is where I awkwardly look over to my player and go, all right, we'll play the intro one more time to play me off. Good night. That was it. Hey, thanks for coming back, everybody. Making some noise again. That's cool. I just gotta let this play out.